content may contain strong language, controversial opinions, raw conversations, and high levels of accountability. This channel covers business, culture, economics, current events, and real-world commentary. If you're easily offended, this may not be the stream for you. Viewer discretion is advised.
Sweet.
What up? Let you come on and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Turn on all post notifications. Today, we're going to do some culture, current events. You know, some of you guys said, Mark, keep doing the cultural topics. I said, all right, bet. I was going to do it anyway. You dig what I'm saying? So, yesterday, I guess at some point, let me do the roll call first. Shout out to CTR Logistics in the building. Representing the MGM gang, appreciate that. Shout out to Pippi. Shout out to all the moderators. Shout out to Kelvin, representing the MGM gang. Shout out to King Zapphire. What's going on? Shout out to who's this? Eric Cox. What up, though, from Detroit? We don't give a fuck about a cost per mile. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Shout out to EA. Come on in, make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to Edie. Come on in, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on all post notifications. Shout out to Jonathan, representing the MGM gang. Say your brother was signed with Floyd. Who's your brother? Shout out to, was he signed to him as a boxer or was he signed to him as a rapper? Shout out to Michael Robinson in the building, representing the MGM gang. Rappers that was signed to him back in the day. I remember Freck Billionaire was signed to him for a minute. For everybody from Philly. Freck Billionaire was signed to him for a minute. A few other rappers was signed to him. Yeah, so shout out to B-May representing the MGM gang in the building. Jose Vargas. That's your brother? Oh, wow. Grand Rapids, Michigan. You represent Grand Rapids, Michigan in the building. Appreciate that. Home of Mayweather. Yes, sir. Shout out to Cruising Lane. What up? Shout out to D. Jenkins for the $50 hour. Appreciate that.
Sweet.
Appreciate the super chat. All right, so boom. Yesterday, sometime during the okay, shout out to you, Jonathan. I didn't know we had a boxer's brother as part of the MGM gang. Appreciate that. You know, but MGM gang is a few, and I don't talk about it, it's a few celebrities that I talk to that's in the trucking business that have reached out to me over the years privately, but you never know who's watching, you know? You never know who's watching. So, yeah, but no, shout out to you, Jonathan. That's cool. Appreciate G. Jenkins again for that super chat.
Sweet.
All right, so boom. Let me set the tone. So I said we was gonna do a part 2 yesterday to that George shit. After I thought about it, I said no. Then I had a conversation with someone that's heavily respected in the space. That's a creator, not going to say any names, and they, shed some light on, the party that was in the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to not even do the part 2. What I'll do is I'll just give you a brief synopsis of the remaining of the video. Remaining of the video, it was just him talking about the remaining journey in moving. He exited 2019 because he was burned out right before the pandemic. He came back in, I guess, in 2024, which made his third stint at a moving company due to, I guess, backlash or some type of challenge or troll that was in his comment section or something to that effect. So he was challenged like most content creators are, whatever. And, he took the challenge, came out of retirement, came back out in the field, made some money, bought a Lincoln Navigator. Told George that one of his regrets was not investing. He didn't invest into any stocks, any crypto, any real estate. He said that was his biggest investment when he made the money. He reiterated a few times that he bought a lot of luxury cars, seems like was his vice. So a lot of the money that he made went into cars. Even when he came back in 2024, the money he made, he went out and bought a brand new Lincoln Navigator. So so he admitted that he didn't invest any of the money. That was his biggest regret. And he said the money that he did put into a retirement, he can't touch that for another 20 years. So that makes him around about my age now. So he's about 45, 46. And he says in 20 years when he can touch his retirement, which he can touch it now, but he's going to get really, really taxed. So he's got to wait 20 years. And when he is able to touch that money, he's going to move to Thailand and find him a Thai girl and live happily ever after. And that's what he said. I'm not like making it up. The whole Thai girl thing, he actually said this stuff. I don't think George really caught it. You dig what I'm saying? Because George doesn't really catch much. But that was the rest of it. He gave some examples of some different, moving jobs. And that was it. So I'm done with George. I don't like the way I wasn't tripping on how that conversation ended. But, when I went in the Discord afterwards, there were some people that were disappointed, because he was trying to stunt in front of his workers. And, just how the whole bed bug thing it just told me, it just shed a lot more light on who he was or who he is. And I just feel like a person like that, you just can't help. So instead of doing the part 2, we just going to move on to more important things that are going on. Because some people you just can't help. They got this, he's the type of person he don't know how to read the room very, very well. So we just going to leave him where he's at. All right. So now, during that time yesterday when we were streaming, this verdict came out, right? And the case went really, really quickly. And once I got off the stream, I realized that the verdict came out, and not only did the verdict come out, they sentenced him too. And I'm like, wow, bro, this is really, really quick. And there's a lot of just talk on the internet about this topic, so I just thought it's something we should cover. And I'm going to take my time with it, and what I'm going to do is I am going to open the phone lines up early so that if you want to call in and have the conversation as we react to this, then you are open to do so. If we don't get to the Floyd Mayweather thing, because I'm going to tackle that from a business perspective, then we'll do Floyd Mayweather reaction to the information that has come out finally about him being broke, and we'll break that down from a business perspective because I think that kind of coincides with the channel. When you make money, how you should appropriate it, instant gratification, delayed gratification, how to handle business, when to say no, just so on and so forth, man. I just think it was so many. And now that we're finding out like the truth of what's been going on and how because the rumor was already out there, but now we're the receipts are out now. So if we don't get to that today, then I'll circle back tomorrow, because I don't want to rush through the Karmelo Anthony thing because it's a very touchy thing. So if this takes a little bit longer, then we'll just come back and circle back tomorrow. So we're gonna react to it, but let's pull the context up, and I'm gonna put the number on the screen. We're gonna open the phone lines up early if anybody wants to call up as we react to the news of this. But let's put this in context first before we react to the news. So on April 2nd, 2025, I guess there was a high school track meet at Cayendall. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. Stadium in Frisco, right? In Frisco, Texas. And a rain delay occurred, and students were taking shelter under the team's tents, right? So you got two teams. Obviously, we've all been in high school, and usually when there's some type of football game or track meet or whatever, normally, at least from when I was in high school, you know, one school sits on one side of the stadium, the other school sits on the other side. So Karmelo Anthony, who attended a different school, was under Memorial High School's tent when Austin Metcalf and others told him that he needed to move. Obviously, from what we know now, a verbal altercation followed. Witnesses testified that Anthony warned Metcalf not to touch him. Some witnesses said that Anthony had his hand inside his backpack during the confrontation. Metcalf then physically pushed or shoved Anthony. Exactly how forceful the shove was became a major issue in the trial. Anthony pulled out a folding knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. The wound was fatal, right? Afterwards, Anthony admitted to the police that he had done it and that he was protecting himself. The knife was recovered and he was charged with murder. So the entire trial came down to one question. Was it self-defense or was it murder? So let's look at Law and Crime. I watched a few minutes of this, and we'll react to this because it kind of covers the case, the trial, and then the punishment. We'll do a little reaction. The phone number is on the screen if you want to call up, and you can do so. A lot of tension in the country with this situation. And then you got the other thing that I heard about, the Chinese guy down in South Carolina, I believe. So there's a lot of racial tension going on in the country right now. So let's see what's going on with this case.
To decide the fate of the Texas track athlete accused of turning a high school competition into a deadly crime scene. Their verdict? Karmelo Anthony is guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf. Now Anthony knows exactly how many years he'll spend behind bars. And the moment the verdict was read, sparked powerful emotions and sobs inside the courtroom. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Before we get started, I need to tell you about this app, Upside. It gets you cash back on everyday purchases like gas, groceries, and your first tank of gas. After Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder, the judge moved directly into the penalty phase. Karmelo's mom took the stand, asking the court for mercy on her son. In Texas, when it comes to murder, there is a wide range of how long someone's prison sentence could be. It is between 5 and 99 years. Today, jurors not only decided that Anthony was guilty of murder, but they also determined his sentence, 35 years in prison. He's now 19. He'll be in his mid-50s when he gets out. It was an intense day in court. Cody Thomas was there throughout the entire trial.
What do y'all think? Put it in the chat. Like, what do y'all think about the sentencing? I mean, about the case being resolved and then the sentencing so quickly. What do you guys think about that? There's a lot of talk on the internet about how quickly everything happened.
Including a very, very emotional day today. Joins us now to break this down. You know, Cody, you think of just, I think there were like two major emotional moments, it seems, today, because you have the verdict where the jury finds Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder, but then you also have, after a period of time, more deliberations, and then here comes the jury deciding his sentence of 35 years. Let's start there. Like, just take us in that moment when the jury comes back with that being the sentence for Karmelo Anthony.
Yeah, Chris, obviously so. There was emotion running rampant throughout that courtroom on both sides. You know, of course, the media is sitting right behind the Metcalf family. So we saw all of those tears. They feel like justice has been served for Austin Metcalf here. They feel vindicated. And of course, there were some celebratory gestures by the Metcalf friends that were in there. They looked like former teammates, five, younger, bigger guys, and a couple of girls that were in there that were sitting right behind the family. When that happened, the family turned around and gave all these kids a hug, kisses on the cheek, and the tears were just rolling between Jeff Metcalf and Megan Metcalf, the two parents there, and what I assume to be aunts, uncles, or other family friends that were there as well. Now, of course, on the other side as well, Chris, Carmelo Anthony's family, tears, but of a different token, right? Total opposite. Their son, their child is going to going to prison for a very long time here. He's only 19 years old, 35 years. You're not looking at getting out until 54, right? Of course, there's a parole opportunity halfway through that, 17 and a half years, but that's essentially his entire life right now. So I'm sure the emotional gravity on them that they're going to be seeing their loved one who is now a convicted murderer through plexiglass for the next however long. So just an emotional roller coaster on both sides, a whirlwind in that courtroom, of course, Chris.
Yeah, and you think of, how stoic this family was, how Karmelo was throughout the entire trial, even through the heaviest pieces of testimony that we talked about that brought even jurors to tears. And then you just have this release in finding that you have been found guilty of murder. And then, you think at minimum, your entire life, 17 years, you're going to spend in a Texas state prison. Before we get to some of the closing arguments, which does feel like it happened days ago, it was a very busy day. There was this, part of the sentencing portion related to sudden passion and whether that is something that comes into play here. And that would have changed the potential for how many years Carmelo Anthony was going to get as a sentence. Just walk us through that part of it and how it factored into what played out in the courtroom.
Right, Chris. So this terminology, sudden passion, we hadn't heard that throughout this entire trial until today in those arguments before the jury went back there to deliberate on the sentencing. Pretty much what the defense is arguing is that this whole thing, kind of like crimes of passion that we cover here at Law and Crime and Court TV, where these sorts of instances kind of happen in the moment. Something's going on, heat of the moment, you make a decision. It is a clear mistake. There's no arguing that it's a mistake by the defense, but the sentencing for that would have only carried 2 to 20 years versus what he was ultimately convicted of in murder and for 5 to 99 years.
Crime of passion. Crime of passion.
And of course, ultimately got the 35 years. But they brought up this sudden passion thing to try to argue that this was, pretty much not premeditated. He did not go under that tent with the intention to stab anyone. This just all happened all of a sudden. But then, of course, with the prosecution reserving the right to respond, they came back and rebutted, pretty much saying, let me tell you why this isn't a sudden passion type of case here, a type of crime here. Because sudden passion, and he brought the definition up on the screen there, sudden passion involves the decedent or the victim to be the provocateur, the one who's instigating the act here. And the prosecution saying, by all of our accounts, all testimony, it was Carmelo Anthony who was the one provoking the incident. So you can't claim sudden passion if
the jury could be deliberating tomorrow morning in the murder trial of Carmelo Anthony. Hello, everybody.
Necessity for the use of force. How immediate was it? Were you really fearing for your life? Was immediate necessity, and then you do something bad?
Come on, bro.
A self-defense case. One of them was, provoking. You can't claim self-defense by, provoking a situation, and then when the opposing party retaliates, and then you do something bad.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. How did Carmelo Anthony provoke it? Not to say that what his response was right, but how did he provoke it? It was raining, right? Let's just keep it a buck. It was raining. All right. He wanted to get shelter from the rain. Granted, he took shelter from the rain in the opposing team's tent. Get out of my tent, or get out of our tent, right? I'm looking at it like this. Some people may look at it different. I'm looking at it like this. It's raining. Yeah, buddy don't go to our school, but it's raining. He ain't bothering nobody, right? He ain't bothering nobody. He's not under the tent messing with nobody. He's just trying to stay dry like everybody else. Granted, he doesn't go to this team, but he ain't bothering nobody. So if I go over there messing with a guy who common sense is just saying, man, he's trying to avoid getting wet, and I'm telling him to get out, to me, that's the individual that's provoking it. It's just like if you know, for some people that live in bigger cities, when it's raining, and let's say if it's a building, like an apartment building or something that's right in front of the bus stop, and let's say it's a bus stop that doesn't have a bus shelter, right? It's just a bench, right? You see people standing under the awning of the building. They don't live there. You never hear or see anybody saying, hey, you can't stand under the awning of this building because you don't live here. People understand, yo, there's a bus stop right in front of the building. The bus stop doesn't have a bus shelter. The building, there's an awning over the building. And they're literally just standing under the awning to prevent getting wet. And when the bus comes, they're going to go on their way. Like, now imagine walking up to that individual saying, hey, you can't stand under this awning and shelter yourself from rain because you don't live here. To me, that individual that did that would be provoking some sort of altercation because they could just ignore it. They're just trying to prevent from getting wet. So I think the Austin guy provoked the situation.
Saying that he's giving the jury a scenario, and he was saying that
There was this
pretty much not premeditated. He did not go under that tent with the intention to stab anyone. This just all happened all of a sudden. But then, of course, with the prosecution reserving the right to respond, they came back and rebutted, pretty much saying, let me tell you why this isn't a sudden passion type of case here, a type of crime here. Because sudden passion, and he brought the definition up on the screen there, sudden passion involves the decedent or the victim to be the provocateur, the one who's instigating the act here. And the prosecution saying, by all of our accounts, all testimony, it was Karmelo Anthony who was the one provoking the incident. So you can't claim sudden passion if the offender was the one provoking the incident. So that's where the defense came back, or the prosecution came back. And so it was a real clash on this sudden passion thing, which ultimately the jury did not side with, convicting him of that murder, now facing 35 years behind bars.
And you think of the sudden passion part of it, to argue that Austin Metcalf was the one who provoked this incident. No matter for people watching this who may have an opinion and they agree or disagree with the verdict, like by the time we were talking about sudden passion, like the guilty verdict on murder had already come in. And so like that was off the table. The jury had already we're past that point, it seems. I want to go to the closing arguments today before we get to just that moment. I'm sure just another major emotional moment when Karmelo Anthony is found guilty of murder. What did you make of the defense today? And when it came to the closing arguments before the guilty verdict today, what were kind of the bullet points of what they said in their final opportunity to address the jury?
So they started off, Chris, by pretty much saying, we hadn't heard this before earlier in the trial, saying Austin Metcalf had no authority to remove Karmelo Anthony from that tent. He had all the right to say, get off from under the tent, but he had no authority to physically move him.
Agreed. He's at a game. They both go to opposing schools and it's raining and he's getting shelter. He has no authority. Yeah, you can tell somebody something, but like you can't remove nobody. It's just like our parents always say, and this is where culture comes in and upbringing. I was raised to always keep your hands to yourself. And it's a reason why your grandparents and your parents would tell you, keep your hands to yourself. You was also told that somebody hit you, hit them back, right? So we can get to the reaction of Karmelo a little bit later, but you was first taught, keep your hands to yourself. And there's a reason why we were taught, keep your hands to yourself. And this is where, I go back and forth with a lot of people who come from different walks of life. And this is one of those situations where we would classify them as middle Americans. because they don't have situational awareness. They don't come from a place and a place of understanding on why you should keep your hands to yourself, because you can fuck around and find out. It don't mean that the response that a person gives if you put your hands on somebody may be the correct response. It could be the wrong response, right? Like I think in this situation, but this shit could have all been prevented if you keep your goddamn hands to yourself. And this is where I get into these deep debates with middle Americans, because they not brought up that type of way. They brought up differently, and they don't understand that shit like this can happen. You dig? So
him to make him move. There, he should have went and got a coach or something. That's what they were pretty much saying. So that was the initial highlight, and that was the whole narrative pretty much of their closing argument. And then, Chris, the biggest highlight to me towards the end, as they're trying to make headway with their closing argument here, was that we've heard about the hand in the bag situation with the phrasing, touch me and see what happens. What the defense attorney phrased or demonstrated, he was saying that he's giving the jury a scenario, and he was saying that if I have my hand in my bag and I tell you I have something in it, something potentially harmful, and I'm telling you to not touch me, you call my bluff saying I don't have anything in it, and then you touch me, and then I pull the thing out and use it, that was a warning and not provocation. So that's how they pretty much ended their closing argument, to which the prosecution got up to their rebuttal and said, do not let the defense turn a threat into a warning. That was the opening line. Do not let them turn a threat into a warning. And then they walked through these 4 distinct reasons as to why this wasn't a self-defense case. One of them was
I don't think it was a threat. I think it was a warning. Don't put your hands on me. He shouldn't listen. It's unfortunate what happens. It's unfortunate what happened, but this is why you got to keep your hands to yourself, because both parties lost. There was no winners in this. There were no winners on either side. Nobody won. Even what they thought was a victory yesterday wasn't a victory. There's no winners in this. All this could have been prevented if a person keep their hands to themselves. It's rain. Like, we tripping over a person standing under a tent like everybody else trying to keep dry. That's it. Person not bothering nobody, not offending nobody. It's just sitting there. So what? He goes to a different school. It's raining. We not tripping on shit like that. All this because it was raining and you're sitting under a tent and you can't keep your hands to yourself. Don't put your hands on me. Don't mean I'm going to poke you. I might slap the shit out of you. I might poke you. I might shoot you. I might trip you. I might spit on you. It could be anything. Keep your hands to yourself. Putting your hands on an individual because they sitting under a tent because it's rain, like sitting under a tent because it's raining doesn't give you a reason to put your hands on somebody. Period. All this could have been prevented if people keep their hands to themselves.
Provoking. You can't claim self-defense by, provoking a situation. And then when, the opposing party retaliates and then you do something bad, you can't claim self-defense with that. They talked about the immediate necessity for the use of force. How immediate was it? Were you really fearing for your life? Was there an opportunity to run? They talked about force disparity. And the prosecutor said that you could meet force with force, i.e. a shove with a shove. You can meet deadly force with deadly force, but you cannot meet normal force with lethal force. Pretty much showing one person had an edge up because they had a weapon while the other was unarmed. So they walked through a whole bunch of reasons as to why this was self-defense, Chris, and implored that, that the jury find Karmelo Anthony guilty, which now we know ultimately they did.
Yeah, and there were some strong words from the prosecution in those closing arguments. Like I have here that just, him bluntly saying, the prosecutor, you don't get to meet a shove with a stab, especially if you provoke the shove. And I feel like that was kind of, in my.
How did he provoke the shove? I don't think he provoked the shove. Now, I agree. Somebody push you, push him back. I don't agree. You get shoved, you pull out a gun, or you pull out a knife and stab them, you pull out a gun. But this kind of goes back to kind of what we have back and forth with here, with people as far as upbringing. I just think these people who come from different walks of life in these small towns and shit, you dig what I'm saying? They don't know how to handle them, like conflict resolution. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know, like, when to, it ain't that serious, walk away because some shit like this can happen. He push you, push him back. He hit you, you hit him back. If he getting the best of you, pick up a motherfucking whatever nearby and you beat the shit out that motherfucker. So it's gotta, you can't go from here if it starts here and then you go to 100. Push. They come back and push you harder, you fucking plant yourself, you push the fuck out of them. And right now, it's just who's going to get the best of who. We playing who's bigger and who's badder. Buddy ass was bigger. He a big country fair white boy. Karmelo didn't have the size of him. If it would have got to a grappling type of thing, a fist thing, it's a fight. You kick that motherfucker, you pick up a goddamn whatever's nearby, a goddamn one of them poles that they stick the flags in. I would have tore that motherfucking tent down and grabbed one of the damn it's a fight. You beat the shit out that motherfucker. But it didn't, I think he took it too far too soon. But it still goes back to the provoke. Keep your hands to yourself. That's what I'm saying. Both people lose. Karmelo Anthony, he loses. His family loses. The Austin Metcalf, he loses. His family loses. There's no winners in this. None. But I think all this could have been prevented. Their kids, their opposing teams, adrenaline's probably pumping. He goes to the opposite school. Get the hell out of tent. I ain't going nowhere. Boy, don't you see it's raining outside? I don't care. Get from under our tent. Man, I ain't going nowhere until it stopped raining. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's as far as it should have went. I don't.
He's saying something obvious, like really at the heart of this trial, because, a lot that the defense talked about was kind of pushing back on the tent culture part of it with the prosecution, where on the state side of it, it was, well, if you're a member of the opposing team, you don't go under a tent. And then the defense kind of pushed back on that, saying like, well, that wasn't really an unwritten rule that everybody knew. But then it's like you get to the point where they start.
What do you mean if you own the opposing team, you don't go into the tent? Plenty of football games I went to in high school, and yes, it's an unwritten rule. The home team sits on this side of the stadium, the opposing team sits on this side of the stadium. But sometimes you've seen some parents who just didn't know any better that sat on the wrong side because the parking lot happened to be on this side and they didn't want to walk across the goddamn fucking park. Or they just didn't care. They just there to watch the game. They not into the whole, we sit on this side and I'm not walking over there. I'm not here bothering nobody. I'm here rooting for who I'm rooting for. It's the same thing with the whole shit that's going on in New York that I saw the other day with the people with the Spurs jerseys on. I watched these guys outside of Madison Square Garden rip this guy's jersey off. And I heard it happen to a few people. You got people that have money that are Spurs fans and they bought Spurs tickets, but then they also bought tickets to watch their team play in New York, right? So they spent their money to travel to New York, right? They watched the 2 games in San Antonio. They spent 10 grand for a ticket or 20 grand for a ticket or 7,500 for a ticket, right? At the Garden to go watch their team play. They bought their own plane tickets. They bought their own hotels to go watch their team play. And they got that uniform, which they have every right to do. They have every right to put on a Spurs jersey and walk in Madison Square Garden to root for their team. But outside the stadium, they're getting harassed. People are putting their hands on them. People are ripping the jerseys off that, maybe, $60, $70 jersey. If it's a Mitchell and Ness, it may be $300. Keep your hands to yourself. This is a person, they paid their money for their ticket. They paid for this jersey. They should be able to walk in the Garden and watch the game and root for their team. It does not give you a right to put your hands on them. It's not no law that you can't sit under another team's tent or that you can't sit on the opposite side of the stadium. It's not a law, bro.
Having this altercation, and based off Texas law, when it comes to self-defense, like if you're the one with the weapon, it is really hard to argue that you were acting in self-defense. And we saw that play out with just how quickly the jury reached this guilty verdict. I mean, 4 days of testimony, and I think it was less than 3 hours?
Just under 3 hours.
Take me through that part of it where, I know a lot of these, and you've covered big trials for Court TV, like where you're waiting days for a verdict. And this one came fast.
I mean, that's a testament to this whole trial, though, Chris. I mean, we've talked throughout this entire trial. 4 days of testimony, pedal to the metal, including a Saturday session, 9 hours a day, 40-minute lunch break, 10-minute afternoon break. I mean, we were in there. The jury working hard, media working hard, the families taking in all this, gruesome information in such a compacted time period, right? And the prosecution called their 21 witnesses. They rested on Saturday. The defense started immediately and got 3 witnesses in before the end of the day. We get back on Monday, yesterday, and then they call 3 witnesses. We go to lunch, and then there's this elongated delay to which we have no information about what's going on. We're thinking, oh, are they, brokering a last-minute plea deal? Are they preparing him to testify? We get back in there, and it's just the defense is rested. And it was kind of abrupt. There was kind of, some head turning like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then the day ended, and then the state rested with no rebuttal. So all of that, Chris, just kind of a testament to how.
You can call in. I ain't conflating nothing. You can call in and explain. I ain't conflating nothing. Keep your fucking hands to yourself. How hard is that, bro? How hard is it for people to keep their hands to themselves? I don't understand. Like, how is that hard? Well, like, what is that to not understand? Like, how is that? What are we talking about? Keep your goddamn hands to yourself. Not saying I'm not saying how he responded when Buddy pushed him was right. Keep your goddamn hands to yourself. Because guess what? He could have pushed the shit out of him. He could have pushed the shit out of him, and he could have showed some force where Buddy could have said, damn, little shorty ass strong than a motherfucker. He might beat my motherfucking ass. Let me leave dude ass alone. He could have did that. But guess what? He should have never put his hands on him in the first place. Not saying that how he responded when he pushed him was the right response. Me personally, I don't think it was the right response. I'm not going to shoot you. Listen, if somebody came to me and was robbing me, I got it on me. It's on me. But I know I only got like $100 on me, $50. I got it on me. Listen, I'm not going to kill somebody because they robbing me and I know I only got $50 on me. I'm not finna take your life, even though I got that shit on me, And the only thing I got on me is $50. See, this goes back to situational awareness, upbringing, middle American versus motherfuckers who live in a big city. I'm not finna take your life. One, because I don't want to deal with it. I got it on me. I can legally have it on me, but I know what comes along with that. Soon as I lay your punk ass down, I'm laying you down for I'm finna inconvenience the rest of my day for $50 fucking, bro. Nigga, you can have that. The scenario changes if how you approaching me to rob me. If you say, man, give me what you got, I'm gonna go in my pocket. I'm not gonna hand it to you. I'm gonna throw that shit on the floor. Why? I'm not gonna let you get close to me because I'm from where I'm from. I know how to move out here. I'm gonna put the $50 out. I'm gonna drop it on the floor. Now I got the advantage because your stupid ass, if the ignorant robber, he gonna bend down and pick it up. Now at that point, I got the advantage. I'm still not gonna lay his punk ass down. I'm gonna hope for the best, but I'm prepared now because I've changed the dynamic of the situation. Now, if a buddy ass try to press up on me and pat my pockets, we can't do that. Now it becomes a situation where we may have to go there. This is about situational awareness. This is about upbringing. This is how to navigate in certain situations. So I'm trying to figure, the number is on the screen. No argument, but explain to me. Oh, this is because the motherfucker couldn't keep their hands to themselves because it was raining outside. I'm not looking at this shit from a personal or both parties was wrong. I think both parties handled the situation wrong. Nobody won. But you can come explain to me how I'm conflating it. We know he got what he got. But at the same time, you can't expect everything is walkable. So what are you saying? He got what he got, everything is walkable. What do you mean? I don't understand what that means. What you saying that he got what he got, that everything is walkable? Are you saying that he should have got off? I'm not saying, we didn't even get to that part. I didn't say he should have got off. If that's what you're saying, walkable, I'm not saying he should have got off. I'm saying that he handled the situation wrong. I'm saying if somebody push you, push him back. If they hit you, hit him back. Are you saying walkable to the point where I'm saying he should have got off? We haven't made it that far, but if you're listening to what I'm saying he handled this shit wrong. I didn't say he didn't deserve to go to jail. That's not what I'm saying. We never got to that part. But if you listen to what I'm saying he shouldn't have stabbed him. If the dude shoved him, when Buddy shoved him, Karmelo should have took everything in him to shove him 10 times harder to get that, we call it getting the motherfucker up off of you. To show him, look, you bigger than me, but nigga, I'm a force to be reckoned with. You want to do this? It didn't warrant him to pull out a knife. When he pushed him, he could have swung on his ass. As soon as he pushed him, then now he could have just swung on him. He could have gave him a chin shot. There's other things that he could have did to get Buddy up off of him. I didn't say that Buddy should have got off. Never said that. Situational awareness, conflict resolution. See, that's the conversation people don't want to have. I'm using different examples. Me, you come rob me, and I got fire on me. All I know, I got $50 fucking $100 in my pocket. I am not gonna take your life. I'm gonna give you that $50. I'm gonna give you that $100. It ain't that serious. It's not that serious. Why? Because I'm processing everything. In that moment, I'm processing it. Yeah, I'm gonna get off. Yeah, I got lawyer. I got USCCA. My conceal and carry license is valid. Gun is valid. But I still know this is time that's finna be taken away. I still got to go to the station. The state prosecutor, because the state's attorney could still pick this shit up. I understand that. Do I want to sit at Area 1 Chicago Police Department for some hours with my lawyer explaining the same shit over and over and over to a multitude of detectives because I'm just one detective just trying to catch you up on some shit. See if your story changed. Nah, I ain't finna go through all that for no chump change. We gonna let them have it. We gonna go on about our day. What we talking about, bro? Come on now.
Fast everything's going now. Deliberations today, just under 3 hours. Deliberations before the sentencing, what the actual sentence was going to be after the conviction, just under 3 hours. They were getting this all done today, and we've been here all day. You know, it's going on. It's past 8 o'clock Central Time here. So this was something that the judge was not really trying to delay in any capacity. I guess it felt like he wanted to just put a bow on it and move on to allow this community to heal on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, and
I agree. But that still doesn't negate the fact that you should keep your hands to yourself. I'm not in disagreement with you. Yo, get from under our tent. No. Okay. Go get security. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna put my like there's reasons and there's times when you can put your hands on people. Right? This ain't one of them. This ain't one of them. This ain't that serious because you trying to, okay, it's opposing team, it's raining, but this ain't a situation where you can, I'm not finna, listen. I'm trying to think of a good example. If I'm at a school and it's a kid who's sitting under the tent. Yes, he doesn't go to the school that I'm supporting, but he's a kid and he's not bothering anybody and he's just trying to shelter himself from the rain. I'm not going to push a kid from under a tent who's not bothering anybody. Not saying that how he reacted was right. I'm telling you how he reacted was wrong. So it's not like I'm saying, yo, he should have, it should have been not guilty. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you what he did was wrong. I'm not finna push no kid out. I don't care what school he goes to. In the rain, who ain't bothering nobody. If I ask him to leave, he doesn't leave, but he ain't bothering nobody, I'm gonna leave it alone. It ain't that serious. He ain't bothering nobody. If it gets to a point that we have to go get security, then that's what we do. We go get security. One, you shouldn't put your hands on nobody else's kid anyway. You should teach your kids, keep your hands to yourself. Because when you put your hands on somebody, there's consequences behind that. Some consequences are more fatal than others. Dude could have just got the shit beat out of him. That should have been the right response when dude put his hands on him. Karmelo should have knocked the wind out that motherfucker. I walk to my car, you rummaging through my car, I'm gonna yank your ass up out my car. That's a reason for me to put my hands on you. I come in the crib or I pulling in my garage, you broke into my garage and I happen to catch you in my garage while I'm pulling in, reason for me to put my hands on you. You are in the act of some type of crime that's physical, strong arm robbery, physical assault, reason for me to put my hands on you. You standing under the awning of my building and it's not raining, reason for me to call the police because you loitering. Still don't give me a reason to put my hands on you. Hey man, you can't stand here. Hey man, man, fuck you. Man, you loitering. This is private property. All right, bet. 911. This motherfucker could be mentally challenged. It's a lot of, mentally ill people out here. You don't know what a person is going through. He could be purposely looking for a situation because he ready to just throw it all away. You don't know what people going through. That's why you should keep your hands to yourself. A situation like this, they should have went and got security.
Again, I mean, we've seen, murder cases, murder trials really get dragged out for a period of time. This was not one of them. I know we talked about like the sentencing part of it and kind of that moment when it's announced that Karmelo Anthony is going to spend, potentially 35 years in prison. Prior to that, you just think of him entering today and for this family, I'm sure they had hope that he was going to be found not guilty. Everybody has opinions on how this trial went and how realistic that would have possibly been, but manslaughter was also on the table. And that's something that maybe gave them hope as well. Take us into the moment you get called back into the courtroom for the verdict on whether or not he was guilty of murder and just
what gives you a right to remove person from a school? The tent was on the school. Doesn't give you a right to put your hands on him. The tent is on the track of the school. He goes to one of the schools. He's there to witness a track meet. He's not trespassing. What gives the New York Knicks fans rights to rip jerseys off people? They're not trespassing. They just watch a game. But I'm literally watching videos of Spurs fans in New York getting assaulted because they have on Spurs jerseys. So should they just leave? Should they leave? SD, we know that Buddy was out of pocket, but the reaction didn't. I'm saying this. Why do you want to argue with me and you're saying the same thing that I'm saying? The only thing we're talking about now is how it could have been. See, what I'm talking is prevention. How can we prevent things like this? I'm talking about how this could have been prevented. I'm talking about conflict resolution. This is the conversations that nobody's having on the internet. Conflict resolution. How could this shit have been prevented? You got people in here saying, well, if he would have left when he was told to leave. You got people here saying, well, how could it have been prevented? There's plenty of times where I've turned the other cheek. You can tell. I'm gonna tell you something. When I go throughout the country and I travel and I go out to clubs and lounges everywhere but Chicago, it's different. When I go down south, if I go on the West Coast, wherever I go outside Chicago, clubbing is a totally different experience. People have a good time. They drink. They bump into you. They step on your shoes. They're not thinking about the dumb shit that we think about here. Here, you go to a spot, people don't really dance like that. People are very cautious on how they navigate through a club. People are really, really trying not to step on your shoes. Because here, just stepping on somebody's shoes it can turn fatal. Somebody step on my shoe. I'm not going to make it a big deal. Some people are going to make it a big deal. Me, I'm not making it a big deal that you step on my shoe. I'm not making it a big deal that you bumped into me really, really hard because you drunk. I was literally in a spot last week. Dude, two-stepping and shit. But I know he intoxicated, so he's not aware of his surroundings that, yo, it's tight. It's a motherfucker behind you, buddy. You steady bumping into me. I got a drink in my hand. I know buddy ass drunk. But he do that to the wrong person. They own that with him. Why? Because they off some perks. They in here 50 deep, 40 deep. They got their whole block with them. And they in here on that anyway. They looking for anything. They got the drugs in their system and they just own that. They looking for some shit. Me, I bump into you by mistake. My fault, big dog. You good? You straight? I'm not. I'm trying to get home. Conflict resolution. I have situational awareness, bro. I'm not finna trip on no little shit, bro. Because I know tripping on some little shit from where I'm from, I've seen it many, many times. Some shit this little can end up fatal. Conflict resolution. It could have been prevented from both sides. We're not negating that. I'm not negating that. You know where it should have ended? With just an argument, a yelling match, maybe some profanity, maybe a few fuck yous, and that's it. What escalated it? Arguing and yelling back and forth, it could have started there and it could have ended there. What escalated it? Where did the escalation come from? The escalation came from the moment a motherfucker put. So what y'all saying is okay to put your hands on somebody, 5-star and SD. What y'all saying is it's okay for a person to put their hands on you. So now put yourself in that situation. Would have been okay for somebody to do that to you over some rain? Nah. Shorty ass wasn't it'd be different if they said Shorty was bothering people. I get the whole team shit, bro. I get that. I get it, bro. I understand. But at the end of the day, he wasn't bothering anybody. There in no part in this case did they say he was under that tent bothering people. He was causing a ruckus. He was meddling with people. That's just like a homeless person that's sleeping in your doorway of your building. I'm not gonna touch the homeless person because he's sheltering at night under the awning to the entrance of the building, or maybe he's around on the side of the building, or maybe in the alley of the building getting shelter. What do? You call 311. You call 911. I'm not putting my hands on no fucking body because he's trying to get shelter. It doesn't cause for putting your hands on. Y'all are basically saying it's okay to just put your hands on people. This is crazy. I can't believe what I'm hearing. And then if somebody puts their hands on, the first thing you're gonna say is, man, like, why'd you put your hands on? It wasn't worth putting your hands on. I don't understand that. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Nobody said that how he responded was right. I'm telling you, it was wrong. His response was wrong. What escalated an argument? We can argue all day. At the end of the day, you argue, nobody gets hurt. Both parties go home to their family. Some harsh things may have been said. You may have a bruised ego. This goes back. See, this is all upbringing. You can tell this is upbringing. This is situational awareness. This is survival. I'm not excusing no bullshit. Call me, bro. Call me. I can't be reading all this shit, bro. Call me. We can have a conversation, bro. Call me. Tell me, what am I excusing? What am I excusing? The fact that he sat under the tent. What am I excusing? The fact that he sat under the tent. Explain to me what I'm excusing that I don't see. I told you, he sat under the team's tent, bro. I bet. Okay, we understand team spirit, bro. I've been to plenty high school football games. What are you talking about? Did he go under the other team's tent to provoke them? We don't know. But even if he did, man, I'm finna go over there and fuck with them. Motherfuckers pick on people every day. This motherfuckers that's getting bullied right now in some school, in some cafeteria. Motherfuckers say things every day. Yo big-headed ass. Yo mama. Man, you got on some Pro Wings. You got on some XJ900s. Yo goof ass. Dude, you a goofy. Man, dude, you raggedy as, dude, you dirty as hell. Motherfuckers say shit every day. Say something back. No, learn how to Jones, bro. Talk about a motherfucker, bro. If a motherfucker get to talking crazy, you talk about that motherfucker to the point where he start crying. You make that motherfucker feel like the lowest motherfucker on the planet Earth. Learn how to defend yourself in all situations. You see when motherfuckers come over here and be fucking with me, I put the line up. I tell you to call up. I leave a lot of these motherfucker detractors that come on, I leave them bruised. Why? Because they don't come from where I come from. They come on the internet and try to be tough. They not really from that. That's why it's easy for me. Because I've been talking shit since fucking 1985. I know how to talk shit. I know how to get on a motherfucker. I can handle you in any situation. If you come over and you say something crazy, you've seen me, I'm going to say something crazy right back. But what I'm going to say is going to be worse. It's going to be clever, it's going to be cunning, and it's going to be off the cuff, and I ain't going to have to think about it. Why you think when these motherfuckers come over here, I'm off the cuff with it? Because I've been doing this shit for a long time, nigga. Learn how to defend yourself in every situation, bro. Every situation doesn't warrant physical violence. But it all started because motherfuckers couldn't keep their hands to themselves. Grandmama said, keep your hands to yourself. They never went into details, but they always said, keep your hands to yourself. And they said it in a tone that you know they meant business. Never said, keep your hands to yourself because this could happen. Keep your hands to yourself because that could happen. Keep your hands. So we never went through that. I never remember no situation where I was told, keep your hands to yourself because these are the ramifications if you don't. The tone told the tale. Keep your hands to yourself. Like, who raised some of y'all? Like, where were y'all raised at? Who raised y'all? Keep your hands to your motherfucking self. Why? Because you can't control how a person is going to respond. Period. Whether they respond the same way, whether they respond emotionally, which I think this was an emotional response, wasn't the right response, but it was a response driven from emotion. I don't know what shorty ass was going through, but it was a response from an action, physical action. Keep your hands to yourself. They should have cussed each other out, called each other all types of names, could have got racial, who knows? But at the end of the day, buddy ass would be alive, and the other buddy ass wouldn't be sitting behind bars. Hey, this shit is simple, bro. Keep your goddamn hands to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was you could feel that there's this big moment coming, which, you know, rightfully so it was.
That's their problem.
An imminence to it, right?
And that's why they
and
run
so we're all
around here making emotional decisions like Buddy did. Buddy ass, that shit was an emotional decision he made because he wasn't taught how to respond in situations like this. He didn't have no situational awareness. He didn't have conflict resolution. He wasn't raised that, yo, you know, you gotta, you know, certain things warrant certain responses. The other dude, middle American, both of them middle American. You know, big country fed motherfucker, football motherfucker, twin. You dig what I'm saying? On some old tough rah. That motherfucker wouldn't have did that shit if he was in New York or in Chicago or LA. That motherfucker wouldn't have opened his goddamn mouth. He wouldn't have said shit. These are facts. These motherfuckers pull that shit because when you don't come from a certain type of environment, you don't understand the consequences behind your actions. This is exciting for them. They be looking for shit like this because shit don't never happen. Man, he's on our team side. And fuck him, man. Let's get him out of here. Like, bro, we not tripping on no shit like that up here, bro. So what? Dude ain't bothering nobody. Buddy ass ain't bothering nobody. Man, he's under our tent, man. Let's get him out of here. And dude ain't bothering nobody, man. Fuck dude. Keep watching the game. Listen, I swear if that was here, and Buddy ass was, man, he's under our team, he's on our team side. Let's get him out of here. Dude just sitting there watching the game. Man, dude ain't bothering, man. Fuck dude. Keep watching the game. Like, I don't, like, what are we talking about, bro?
in there, the media in the back row, the families come in. We saw Hunter Metcalf for the first time today in the courtroom. We know he did not testify. A lot of people were expecting that to maybe be, you know, the final shebang in the prosecution's case. Let's hear from the decedent's twin brother. But he showed up in the courtroom today for the first time. He looked, you know, kind of flush. He was there. He was with his mom and dad, looking very serious. The Anthony family came in, sat down. Of course, Karmelo's parents had their arms around each other, preparing to hear, you know, the fate of their child. And so, of course,
Yeah,
you know,
the defendant debo him. He was trying to debo him. That's all he was trying to do. And I'm not saying, like, he could have been over there provoking. That never came up. I've never heard that he went over there purposely to provoke him. That hasn't come across. But yeah, he was basically trying to debo him, bro. Come on now.
Up and then guilty of murder. You know, a lot of people, a lot of speculation online saw, you know, an out with the manslaughter. You know, maybe he acted recklessly. Of course, we have a dead child over here, but maybe there wasn't enough premeditation. Maybe it was something in the moment, just, you know, a horrible mistake. It happened to be the biggest mistake on earth, but maybe it was that. But this jury decided that no, there was intentionality. That's something that the prosecution harped on, intentionality by another human to take another human's life or cause bodily harm that will cause death. That's what the jury ultimately decided on. And of course, you just heard like an emotional drop on the Anthony side, but then kind of like a bit of release or a relief on the Metcalf side. So it was just that dichotomy of emotion in the courtroom. And then you saw Karmelo Anthony kind of drop his head. just seemingly in disbelief. And I'll walk you through it, Chris. So you get the whole, you've been reprimanded by the state. You're now in custody of the state. We know he's been out on bond this entire time for a year and some change. So he walks out, and then we immediately start to go into the penalty phase. And so he was out for a few minutes, and they walk him back in. And the way he was walking out, Chris, his back is to me when he's walking out, and his parents are right there to his right. I can't really see his face walking out, but when he comes back in, Chris, you can clearly see that he'd been crying, and he had this just bewildered facial expression. And his eyes were really wide, and his jaw was just hanging open. It is almost like it's real now, which of course has been real this whole time. But when you're out on bond, house arrest may not seem as real as I'm not going to be able to go back and give my mother a hug anymore, things like that. So I'm sure all of that weight, the gravity of what's really settling in, like this has happened. And when you're out on bond, leading up to the trial, you still have the hope. There's still the case has been put on. I'm sure the hope, of course, was still there. And now, all hope is gone. And now he has to sit with that as an adult and deal with, the consequences of his actions as decided by this jury. But it was just a real,
You hear what he just said? Consequences of his actions. See, what y'all failing to realize is there's consequences for everything. And this is something I was talking about last week. I obviously, one of those live streams from last week, I was saying consequences to your action. It was consequences to Buddy, the Metcalf, putting your hands on somebody. There's consequences, right? His response, there's consequences. There's consequences for everything. This is why I say you can't draw off emotion. You always hear me talk about drawing off emotion. Buddy ass was full of adrenaline. He made a decision based on emotion. I'm not putting my hands on nobody unless it's warranted. That situation didn't warrant that type of action. The response, it didn't warrant a knife. Both people were drawn off emotion. I don't know, bro.
You could cut the tension with the butter knife inside the courtroom, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, you just think of, and I know, like, just from some of the notes, like his defense attorney had his arm around him, and I'm sure that they've talked extensively about their strategy going into this trial, and you have this hope that you're, that they came into this hoping that the way that they told their story would be a way that the jury would see it. But I mean, just for how quickly this jury looked and clearly, and we talked, I mean, it seems that the prosecution came in incredibly prepared for this trial.
Yeah.
They were ready on cross-examination. They had exhibits ready to go. Even in their responses to the closing arguments today, it just seemed like they had a lot ready to go.
There's so much intention on his decision, reaching in the bag, pulling a knife he brought to school. I mean, come on, people. Okay. Once again, how could this have been prevented? What's done is done, bro. What's the conflict resolution? How could it have been prevented? How could it have been prevented? See, I'm talking about prevention. Y'all want to talk about it's done is done. Buddy ass stabbed a motherfucker who pushed him. Buddy ass don't know how to keep his hands to himself. I'm talking prevention. I'm talking conflict resolution. I'm talking about not letting your emotions get the best of you so that you end up in a situation like this. We know dude made the wrong decision. How could this have been prevented? Like, I ain't never. This is crazy.
You know, and you saw that with roughly 3 hours for them to reach this, the jury to reach this guilty verdict. And part of it too, because I found it, you know, I wasn't sure whether we were going to do the penalty phase tomorrow, you know, and give everybody a day with that. But I mean, not only did they go into the penalty phase really quickly, they put Karmelo Anthony's mom on the stand, and it felt like within the hour of her son being found guilty of murder, she's there ultimately.
Hello?
Hey, Mark.
What's up?
Hey, I was watching the show. I just got back on the channel, and I just wanted to talk about the comments because I read the comments.
What's your name?
This is Cruising Lane.
What's going on, man?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I was just reading the comments, man. I'm like looking at it. I don't know what's going on in people's mind. First and foremost, in which school in America people are allowed, by people I mean students, are allowed to bring a knife? And sure, we can define or classify a knife as a tool and or a weapon based on its size and based on its usage. No problem.
What's your name?
In which school in America people, yes.
It's Congo, right?
Yeah, it's him.
Where you been at, man?
Oh, I've been working, Baba. We've been here.
Okay.
Just
okay.
We'll talk about it. But let me ask you a question. So, in which school in America students are allowed to bring a knife? And because there's people in the comments saying that, yeah, some schools allow people to bring knives to clean their cleats. I ran track and field and cross country. That is absolutely false. Which school? Public school or what you may call a private school? Which school is allowing the student to bring the knife?
No school is allowed to bring a knife.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this whole thing, there is not even a conversation about it because it's premeditated. First and foremost, you bring a weapon to a school, you have it in your backpack, at a track meet, whatever. You can use it for whatever reason you want to call it, sure. But then secondly, you give somebody, it could be called a verbal warning because that was a verbal warning. Yes, the courts took it a different route, but yeah, that was a warning. Don't touch me or you will see what will happen, right? It's not necessarily a threat. So you could have given somebody that warning. Still, you pull it out, which is that third step, out of the bag, and then you shove it into somebody's chest. No, that's jail time. A life for a life, there is no justifications. Whether he had a weapon, a gun, whether he had a slingshot, whether he hit him with a rock, no, he's got to go. A life for life. Yes, you're right. Both parties lost drastically. One party lost a child immediately, and another one is about to lose a child in jail for the next 50 plus years. There's nothing to discuss about that. I'm really baffled and confused why people in the chat are trying to justify talking about, oh, it's a knife he brought, you know, it's a knife to school for cleaning cleats and or whatever else reason they might have. There is no justification. I agree with what you're saying. I think man's got to face the consequences. He shouldn't cry about it. Maybe he should cry about it. But at the end of the day, when he was stabbing the person, he wasn't crying about it. So he should face the consequences, man up to it, and, you know, do the time. If you do the crime, you do the time. That's just what I had to say.
Yeah, I think the response he had when the guy pushed him, I don't think that response was warranted. Knives aren't allowed, at least here. Knives, obviously, guns, weapons aren't allowed. Obviously, here there's metal detectors. There was metal detectors when I was in high school, so I'm sure they're still here because it's worse now than it was then. But I think this was an after school track meet, so I don't know if he necessarily, and I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but I think this was a track meet that happened outside of school hours, like maybe after school on a weekend. I'm actually looking for the day and the time now, but I can't find it. But yeah, he wasn't supposed to have it. The rules were you're not supposed to have a weapon.
Right.
But
I went to school,
but here's the thing.
I went to school,
people, go ahead.
I had my things, right? I had my things. I'm not going to get into it, but I had my things.
You had your
and
things?
I can tell you.
What do you mean your things?
Oh, yeah. When I went to school, I used to have a knife just like everybody else, but I never brought it to school. I never brought it to school property because it is clear in the fine line. So the school that I went to in Chicago here and the one in Indiana, it was clear in the rule book.
Where did you go to Chicago?
No weapon.
What school did you go to Chicago?
Wheaton Academy.
Who?
Wheaton Academy.
That's not in Chicago, bro. Listen.
It's in West Chicago.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Y'all suburban guys, stop claiming the city, bro. You went to Wheaton Academy in Wheaton.
All right. I'll claim the right
for clout, bro. You from the burbs. It's okay.
The burbs. Yes, it's fine. Absolutely agree with you. Nothing wrong with it. There's beautiful things in the burbs, you know?
Yeah. Proud. Be proud.
Amen to that.
What y'all do is y'all separate yourself from the city when it's necessary, but then when you want the clout and you want to try to, get that clout, I'm from the city. No, you're from the burbs.
My clouds come from the Congo, Baba. Congo. That's where we get the clouds from.
Own Wheaton in all aspects. Don't own it when we ain't out there. Them savages and them barboons.
No.
But then when it's time, man, I'm from Chicago, man, because you want the clout and you want to look a certain way. You want to be deemed as something. No, you got to own the west suburbs, pimp.
Right. We got to be proud of where we come from. I agree with you.
Academy. But all right, talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the policy was there was no weapon, no smoking, no alcohol, no counterband, which is what we call them, within 500 feet of school property. It didn't matter. If you were on a sidewalk, yes, it's still a public easement, but the school could still use that against you and take you to court or whatever they needed to do against that. So again, there should have never been a weapon, and just the fact that he had a weapon on school premises, regardless of the time and day, he was doomed for.
Yeah,
he was doomed for.
I believe that if he wouldn't have had the weapon, he would have had two choices. Either he would have had to get his ass up and move from that tent, or he could have stood his ground like he did, and when Buddy ass pushed him, he should have knocked the shit out of his motherfucking ass. Right?
I agree.
But here's the thing. I'm going to keep it a thou out with you. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Even if he had the knife, because Congo, you ain't from here, but you live here. Everybody here got something. I gave an example on if you tried to strong arm rob me, Congo, and I got that file on me. You dig what I'm saying? I know all I got is $50 on me, $100. I'm telling you, I'm not going to take your life. I'm not trying to, stand on business because it's going to be an inconvenience for me to take your life. Even though I'm legally, I legally can take your life, right? I understand what comes after that, and it's going to be an inconvenience. See, time is more valuable than anything else. I got to go down to CPD. I got to go on 18th and State to Area 1. I got to sit there. My lawyer going to be there with me, but it's still time. It may not be as much time as if I went down there by myself and I told the story over and over and over and over and over again than it would be because I got my lawyer present with me. But there's still time. So now I'm thinking about like, damn, all I had was $50. I could have just gave that motherfucker that shit. Even though I got the file on me. So yes, he had the knife, but that's where I'm saying conflict resolutions, and you can't let your emotions get the best of you. I'm not finna lay your ass down for some chump change, bro. It's not worth it for me. My time is more valuable. Nigga, take this $50. Nigga, we not tripping over no $50. You can have that shit. Nigga, go on about your business. Now, if Buddy ass try to press up on me, because I'm from there, I know how to get, I'm gonna toss that shit on the ground. If Buddy ass press up on me, then there's a situation because a motherfucker try to pat your pockets, they gonna see the fire and they might try to take it from you. So but see how I know how to navigate in a situation in a multitude of different type of ways because I'm processing this shit. Not everybody can process shit like that, right? This is where you got to teach your kids conflict resolution so they don't end up like Karmelo Anthony, so they don't end up like Austin Metcalf. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. Some situations ain't worth it. Yes, he shouldn't have had the knife, but even though he had the knife, he still didn't have to pull it.
Yes.
But here's the thing. If he would have never brought it, he wouldn't have had to pull it in the first place, right? But then we looking at it from the other side of the spectrum. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't put your hands on nobody. Because if he didn't put his hands on him, then he would have never responded emotionally in the first place. If he would have never put his hands on him, he would still be alive and he wouldn't be in jail. So what escalated the situation?
Right.
No, I'm asking you, what escalated the situation?
What escalated the situation? I don't know necessarily, because I've my speculations, and I'm thinking it has something to do with being called a racial slur. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking again, being rejected.
I never heard that. I've never heard there was a racial thing.
I don't know. That's what I'm right. I don't necessarily know what's going on between that, but I'm just thinking that could have been. I mean, you know, that's usually one of the common denominator around kids, children, people, young adults. I shouldn't say children, but young adults. When there is some sort of racial tension, you can suspect something to happen from that. Obviously, if there is more sport rivalry, girls involved, something can always arise out of that. But again, does that still justify the action that took place? No. Regardless, he should have been the bigger guy because he has the weapon. Whoever has a weapon is always the bigger guy. It doesn't matter. If you have that leverage, you are the biggest person.
But see, here's the thing.
You have to make the choice.
You don't know what the other person has, Congo.
That's true.
You don't know what the other person has.
So in that instance, you're 100% right. Just like you talked about Chicago clubbing. I've been to Chicago clubs, step on somebody's shoe. Hey, Baba, I'm so sorry. You good? What's going on? You all right? My bad. I didn't see you. You move on. Yeah, I have my piece on me. Yeah, dude can be belligerent and he can be upset and trying to punch me and everything, but I'm still trying to de-escalate.
You ain't got your piece on you.
It ain't worth it.
You ain't got your piece on you in the club out here. Congo, stop it. You don't. What you mean you got your piece on you? You can't. What club you going into in Chicago and it's foul on you inside the club?
I'm not. I can't even go to the club. I don't go to clubs no more. I'll leave that conversation alone. That's closed. That's closed.
So conflict resolution. Yes. I think the provoke came from the Metcalf. I think the response from Karmelo Anthony was wrong. I think the escalation came from Metcalf because I don't think it should have went past words.
No.
You don't put your hands on an individual. Period. Unless it's warranted. And this was a situation where it wasn't warranted. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
So
I agree.
So I hear you.
If he wanted to do the Wild Wild West like it happened, he could have whooped it out the bag and then give that person another second. I know you don't know what people got, but I would have given that person a second option again. And at that moment, whatever happened, it happened.
It wasn't no second
because
option.
Then you giving that
put
person
his hands on him, it was up. You can't.
It was up, yeah.
But how it was up was the thing. I don't like. He shouldn't have stabbed him, right? I think that was an emotional response. I don't think he was prepared for situations. I don't think he was prepared for the world. And this is what happened when you shelter kids and shit like that, and they don't come from certain type of environments, and then they get into these little spats that kids do, and they don't know how to handle the situation because they so driven off emotion. They not taught conflict resolution. They not taught keep your hands to yourself. Because they come from environments where they're not prepared for the shit that, even though I know you moved here later on in life, I'm pretty sure you're raising your kids here. You live here because I know we taught, but there's certain things that you're prepping your kid or kids for here that you probably weren't prepped for coming from where you come from and then when you moved to Wheaton.
Yes.
Right? Because you know what can happen if you talk back or you say something smart for something so fucking minute. It could get ugly. Right? You gonna teach your kid, keep your hands to yourself, because you know what? Buddy asking them, you know these shorties running around here with that shit.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? And they gonna use it. Right?
Right.
It's about preparing your kids for situations by teaching them first confrontation. He lost him. All right, it was a few people that called in. Y'all can call back. I'm only taking one call at a time.
Pleading to the jury to show mercy on him. It just seemed like so fast.
And Chris, I'll tell you, they didn't even give her a moment to breathe. They didn't give her a moment to sit with this. I mean, this is a mother also, right? This is a mother that's losing her son in a different way. And it was minutes. I don't think, all the days are running together, all the time's running together now to going nonstop, full throttle. But I think it was under half an hour. Karmelo wasn't out of the room for very long. And then she was the only witness the defense called to the punishment phase, to the witness stand. And, it was real brief. It was like under 3 minutes. And he
251 and 410. Whoever those 251 and 410, you guys can call back.
pretty much asked the defense attorney, do you believe that your son regrets what he's done? And she just, I love my baby. I know my son. He's very, very sorry for what went down. And, just really pleading that they show mercy on her son, which, in retrospect, in a sense, they did. I mean, 35 years, that's a long time. That's tough to face at 19 years old. But there was an alternative of 99 years where he would never have gotten out. So in a sense, they did apply some leniency, but of course you can understand where staring 35 years down the barrel at 19 years old it's real tough, because that's not a short amount of time, right? But to your point though, Chris, she got on that stand within minutes, crying and just echoing through the speakers in that microphone, just, all the emotion possible, essentially of a mother losing her son, so it was emotions on both sides. I mean, I can't implore that enough. It was just very, very, very emotional.
No, and
What's up, Mark?
What up?
All right, now. I think that kid was bullied, bro. Because ain't nobody just finna
What's your name?
Why would he bring a knife?
What's your name?
It's Jackson, Mark. It's Jackson.
All right.
But why would you bring a knife to a event? He brought it because he probably was scared, or in fear for his life, or even for his cleats, like the folks said. Did he have intention to use it? I doubt that man got up that morning and was like, I'm finna go and stab somebody.
Yeah, I don't think he got up because he didn't know. He probably didn't know he was going to send under the opposing team's tent. He probably wasn't abreast of the weather. I think it happened. He didn't know that the dude was going to approach him. Right. So it wasn't premeditated. Like this situation, like he wasn't expecting none of that shit to happen. I don't know if he got bullied. That never came up, or at least I haven't seen anything. But
Yep.
But if he was bullied and dude put his hands on him, he should have beat the shit. He should have went upside his head. I don't think it warrants the stabbing.
It don't, because it's a little excessive. But then you got to look at George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. Like, they say court cases are precedent.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, look at George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was beating George Zimmerman's ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get mad and you pull out a weapon and you want to use it. But now when you get off because it's self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's self-defense.
So we know what that was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some of that here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That right there, George Zimmerman, look at dude life now, bro. He was totally wrong. And we know why he got off. But man, he You know what that was about, bro.
Yeah. I know you can't see it, but I know.
You know, I'm trying not to, you know what I'm saying? But because I'm trying to, you know, because this is one of those touchy situations. And then that one is just even, we know what that was, bro.
Yeah.
You let a shorty beat the shit out of you, you got beat the fuck up by a shorty, bro.
Yeah, you got mad.
Dude, he was a coward, bro. He got mad, and then we know why he got off, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Know what that was, bro.
Yep. And that, I just see this junk as the same situation now. And I ain't saying Charles and White be right about everything, bro. But he been telling folks, them kids were bullies. They beat up their dad till their dad beat their mama. So they, you know, naturally, if you come from an abusive household,
who beat up their dads because their dad beat their mama?
The Metcalf kids. They ain't have no clean record. They want to make them look like they were
beat
just
up their dad.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, this is like, bro, like this stuff. You know, they want to make them kids look good, and then the whole
I ain't looking at all of that, bro.
Right.
Looking at conflict resolution, bro. All that, the extracurricular shit, that ain't right. To me, I don't really care about that.
It ain't important,
My whole thing is how it could have been prevented. You dig what I'm saying?
He could have. He was emotional.
Yeah, they both was emotional.
I agree with you. But see, like, man, I did security. They teach us to de-escalate a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at Metcalf, like if I saw somebody and I'm doing security, I'm on my patrol or whatever, and I see somebody, I know they don't supposed to be on the property. I tell them, hey, you trespass, you need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I have no right to touch that person.
You got to call the police,
at all. Right? Yeah, that's what we supposed to do. Call the police. If I escalate that situation, I'm in the wrong.
Yeah. I got a homie that do security and they do patrol. And tell me, it's like we can't. The only thing we can do is but security is really like a deterrent, and you just told to call the police. So even as a security officer, you're trained not to touch people to call the police. So that's what I'm saying. Right. Like you have no right to put your hands on people.
No, and I mean, if you from the streets, you know. Okay, if somebody say, "Don't touch me." That's your warning, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that means warning and destruction finna happen in some kind of way, form or fashion, whatever you are. Yeah. Like that's telling you right there. If I say don't touch me, I probably got a gun, I probably got a knife, I probably got some mace, I probably got something that's gonna harm you.
Mm-hmm.
So leave it alone. Go and get a teacher, an authority figure. Or something, if you feel like you that disturbed by that man sitting under your tent because he in the shelter and he ain't on y'all team.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I don't know, bro. But I'm just supporting the show, bro. But I appreciate you letting me say my piece, man.
I appreciate you for calling.
No problem, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think too, for that family, no matter.
The property ain't even yours. Well, that goes for the people with the tent. The property wasn't theirs. The tent is just housing, makeshift housing, right? The tent is makeshift housing that was placed on the field. The property doesn't belong to them. It's just like if you go to the park and for a festival and you pitch a tent. The municipality, the city owns the property. So you're defending and you're trying to force and debo somebody off of some property that's not yours. The tent it's makeshift, bro. It's makeshift. Hey, come on now. What are we talking about, bro?
Or, you know, how you, whatever you think of the verdict today, whatever you think of Karmelo Anthony, I just think of like that family, you know, had their son, he was going to a track meet middle of the day on a Wednesday, I think it was in April of last year. And then they get a phone call that this had happened. I mean, very different situation than the Metcalf family that also received a horrific phone.
Oh, bro. I feel what way now? Listen, when this shit happened, I was in the Discord and I said the same shit. I said the same shit. We not negating the fact. I'm saying Buddy Ass should have kept his hand to himself, but Karmelo should have. Listen, what are y'all talking about, bro? Like, what part of going upside somebody's head don't you guys understand, bro? Motherfucker push you, now you have reason to go upside their head. A push warrants you going upside their head. You can push back. Push, you can slap. Push, you can punch. Push, you can kick. Push, you can beat the shit out of them. Push, you can pick up. They was at the thing. It might have been a goddammit, a bag of soccer balls. He could have picked up the bag of soccer balls and got to beating that motherfucker with it. The push warranted all of these types of reactions. The problem with y'all niggas is, I'm gonna tell you the problem with y'all little niggas is. Yeah, you gonna get mad too. Hello?
What's good, Mark?
What up?
Man, you hear me? Hey, this new age in the chat, and it's just like, bruh, what motherfuckers is not realizing is these are kids, bro. Like, y'all in the chat trying to say, oh, this like George Zimmerman or Trayvon Martin. Like, bro, these are kids at school.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfuckers gonna fight, fool. Like, I don't know why y'all justify killing somebody over a fight.
That's what I'm
like,
trying to get them to understand. But you sound a little older, or maybe you're not older. Maybe you just come from a certain walk of life. How old are you?
No, I'm from Memphis. I'm 25.
Okay, you from Memphis, right?
Yeah.
So that says a lot. What a lot of people don't understand nowadays, a lot of motherfuckers ain't fighting. They emotional. They don't know how to fight. They scary. They don't know when a fight is warranted. A motherfucker push you, this warrants a fight. Not a knife, not a gun. It warrants a fight. So you're right. They're kids. This should have been a good old fist fight. Karmelo probably would have got beat up. He might have, because Buddy Ass was a big ass country fed white boy. Karmelo was a lot smaller than him. But it should have not. I don't think it should have escalated beyond the argument, but it shouldn't have. Once he put his hands on him, it shouldn't went beyond a fist fight. And I don't think it would have. I don't think if it would have led to fight, I don't think it would have been that long, because it was people that just broke it up.
Facts. Like, that's just my whole thing. Like, kids at school, they gon' fight. Like, I can't even count on how many times I'd have been to a fight at school. Like, you talking about at school where you around other kids all day that ain't doing shit but trying to get under your skin, trying to, you hear me, make you feel some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these motherfuckers in the comments, they're like, oh, you can't tell somebody what to do, how to feel, how to react. You right, you can't. At the same time, you can't just kill a motherfucker just because you feel a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm. But see, you gotta understand, like, these are what I call middle Americans, and you saying the same thing I say. When you come from a certain type of environment, you since a shorty, motherfuckers is at you. You building up that character as you grow up, because you gotta know how to talk about a motherfucker. You gotta get on a motherfucker. So by the time you get put in situations like this, you've already built up that character and that mental toughness, that words ain't gonna cause you to make an emotional decision like this. You gonna know how to defend yourself with words, right? We live in a society now where you got kids, young adults, and even grown motherfuckers with the internet that are having to engage with people from different walks of life, and they just don't know how to carry themselves because they've never really had to deal with nothing, right? So in a situation like this, Karmelo Anthony, who this is probably like his first situation where he was probably, I could be wrong, where he was challenged and he made a very emotional decision that now his life is thrown away. The other kid, this is a situation where, and you know, he made an emotional decision to provoke someone and now he's no longer here, right? Because they don't understand that this situation that occurred it's not like this shit ain't, that shit wasn't about nothing, bro.
Exactly.
This shit wasn't about nothing. You got a motherfucker sitting under a tent sheltering himself from the rain, bro. Like, I don't, like, and then you got people that don't understand that shit, bro. I don't understand, bro. You got it. And it's I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I don't get that shit either. Like that shit wild.
I don't
You hear me? But like you say, motherfuckers don't come from that. You hear me? Motherfuckers, I don't even know, cause I don't get it. Like just like you, this shit mind boggling for real.
It's mind boggling, ain't it? Like it's like I don't even know what to say anymore. Like what part of keep your hands to yourself that you don't get?
Facts.
Keep your fucking hands to yourself because shit will happen. Doesn't mean that the shit you cannot control how somebody responds. And I've said this plenty of times on this channel. I've said it with little verbal spats that I've had with content creators. When you go fucking with a motherfucker, you can't control how they respond. Leave motherfuckers alone. When somebody asks you to leave them alone, leave them alone. Leave them alone. And people need to understand that shit. But I appreciate you calling.
All right, for sure.
Sir. Yo. Hello.
Hello.
Yo, what up?
So this is Mark.
Yeah, what up?
So man, I was just calling into the live show. Trying to talk about this trucking stuff. Whenever you get on that topic, I see you talking about Floyd Mayweather right now.
No, we talking about Karmelo Anthony right now. We didn't get to Floyd.
Oh, okay. It said Floyd.
I mean,
it's Floyd. Okay.
Yeah, we might get to Floyd, but we might not get to him today because this is a little bit more serious topic. But yeah, trucking.
Okay.
Like, what you want to talk about? Trucking?
Yeah. Cause I was just watching some trucking stuff, but I ain't gonna embark on. I was just calling on another show, I guess.
Yeah, man. Maybe one day next week I might do the trucking shit, bro.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I called in like a year ago, and I'm finally out here, man. So I was just gonna get my experience. So.
You in a box truck?
Nah, I'm in the semi truck. I was a CDL driver. I was gonna do the box truck, but you had asked me like, why do the box truck? We already drive big trucks.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking the same thing, so that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. I hope everything working well for you.
It's going pretty well, man. It's definitely a lot of curveballs out here, but you just gotta roll with it. Keep going. Prepare for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, we can chop it up next week, man. I'll probably cover a trucking topic next week.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna be tapped in, man. Appreciate it.
I bet.
All right, later.
Oh, bro. I don't know, bro. Like,
call, but to just think that they're in this room going through this, and then here she is on the stand, just with the blistering pace that this judge went with. Like, I was surprised that was something where just so quickly, without even really having the time to, I'm sure, process everything, you're on the stand. And just kind of looking at the notes too, because the state did speak to her. These prosecutors that, ultimately they presented a case and found her son guilty of murder. What was that moment like where you have one of these prosecutors then talking to her as she is emotional on the stand, asking for mercy for her son?
He spoke for, it was like a sentence, maybe two, Chris, maybe a sentence and a half. He's kind of looked at her and said, you're grieving as a mother would, understanding where that emotion is coming from. And he pretty much just said, you will still be involved in your son's life. And that's pretty much all he said. And then he passed the witness back to the defense, which, in a sense, of course, I mean, you say that, what he's trying to get at is that she'll still get to see her son. Because one of the most powerful moments during their closing argument, Chris, the prosecution's, or during the sentencing, before they went back to do the sentencing, when he was considering the punishment. The prosecutors really hammering on, sending a message to the community. Community was a big word they were harping on, holding people accountable in the community to make your community what you want it to be. And he talked about, considering life sentences. And, he had a real bellowing voice. The defense attorney was a little more soft spoken, but the prosecutor he echoed throughout the courtroom when he was getting emotional, right? And so he was like, when you're considering life sentences, Jeff Metcalf, Megan Metcalf, Hunter Metcalf, all have life sentences, a life sentence of a void in their home and a void in their heart. I thought that was a very powerful, way to express that, because, while we talk about Karmelo Anthony being gone a long time, essentially there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a very long tunnel, but there is a light. But what the prosecution was getting at is that there is no light for the Metcalf family. Austin Metcalf will never come back, no matter how much attempts at healing and whatever else they have to go through, or counseling or consoling, whatever amongst themselves, whatever they have to do to make themselves, better to go on in life. He still will never come back. And that's what the prosecution was harping on here, which to me kind of made it insurmountable. I mean, how do you overcome that with a defense strategy, any kind of closing argument, any kind of plea for leniency, right? So again, that's to the point we've been talking about. It seemed like the prosecution was just prepared with every single phrasing, every single cross-examination, every single, direct examination under their case. They came in this, just readily prepared for every possible scenario.
I think of the jurors too, and like you can't lose sight of the fact that these are people like all of us, where you get the jury summons for jury duty in the mail, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I have to go do this.
Yeah.
And then you end up showing up hoping they're going to send you home. And then eventually you work your way through and you find yourself in that jury box. And then you realize it is going to be for a case that was getting a lot of attention in the Dallas area. And then you find yourself not only determining guilt or innocence and kind of handling that weight. I mean, and you think of jury selection was Monday last week. When all of this happened, to think 2 weeks ago, nobody knew that they would be in this position. And then here they are also determining the penalty phase of it. Just what did you take away from this jury, kind of looking at them, kind of understanding what they had to go through over the past several days, and then certainly today with their verdict of guilty for Karmelo Anthony? And then you think about having to determine, I mean, to have such a wide range too, of 5 to 99 years, and to go through a deliberation to figure out exactly what the right punishment would be.
Yeah, and as I've been speaking on it the past few days, Chris, they've just been, there's emotion at the beginning of the trial, of course, when you're hearing 911 calls, when you're hearing all this emotional testimony and seeing body cam footage of compressions being done in this dying body. Of course, there was emotion at that point. But when all that passed, they were just, real attentive to everything each side had to say, because they had to take all that information in and essentially make what they believed was a fair decision as far as the guilt. And then to me, what was probably, the harder decision, the penalty, the punishment here, because like you said, why 5 to 99, that's a huge scale to choose from, and then to ultimately land on 35, which maybe it's because of his age, maybe they wanted to give him another chance at life down the road. But, you look at him there and
they gave him 35 years up for parole at half of that, which is 17 and a half years, which was the age that Austin Metcalf died at. So I think it was well thought out. I don't think 5 to 99 years and then they end up at 35 years and he's eligible for parole, and half of that time of 35 years, which is 17 and a half, which is the exact age Austin was. He was 17 and a half years when he passed. So I'm thinking it was well thought out. So if he when he is eligible for parole, if he is paroled, he would have served 1 year for every year that Austin was up until when he died. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it was thought out.
came back in and they just looked, like they looked like a jury that had their mind made up. They looked like there was no fluctuation in their decision making. They looked like they took all the information in that, that was necessary to take in to make these incredibly heavy decisions. That's something that the prosecution and defense were harping on during closing arguments for both, the guilt phase and the penalty phase, was that they understand the task at hand, this tall task for this jury to be here, listen to all this, emotional, testimony, see all these exhibits, look out into the gallery and see the emotion going on, and then having to be tasked with, dealing with a young man that's sitting over there in that defendant's table. So, they looked like they were, prepared for the task at hand.
Yeah, and I just think too, I mean, and there will be people who will criticize the defense attorney, and that's a really tough job, right? I mean, you got to have a stomach to have that line of work, deal with the pressure, and putting everything together. Just what did you take away from his defense in terms of just the body language you saw in that moment where I'm sure you work incredibly hard to put a trial together, it doesn't go your way, and then you're in this situation where I'm sure there's, in hindsight, would you have done things differently? I don't know. You'll face a ton of criticism. And just what did you take away from his defense attorney with just his body language dealing with, from their point of view, a very, very difficult day?
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine when you take on this case, Chris, the facts of this case are insanely just, they're tough. They're insurmountable facts, especially when you have something like Carmelo Anthony on body cam admitting to the stabbing. I mean, we've already got that. That's there. So, when you take on this case, it's just a difficult case in the beginning, right? To try to formulate and strategize. And I can even imagine what goes into even trying to attempt to defend a case like this. And of course, once the decision came down today, you're hired to try to keep this defendant from behind bars, right? And then it's you get a sentence like this. I'd imagine there's a feeling of being unsuccessful, and so he's standing there. He has his arm around Carmelo. He's kind of like leaning with him, leaning into him, giving him, consoling him. I would say. I don't want to say there was a sense of defeat because they put their best foot forward, obviously with the hand they were dealt, but it was a somber echoing of body language there in the court as they listened to the prosecution put on their closing argument. When they listened to what the jury came back with both verdicts, just a real, just taking it in like we tried and this is the result. And he verbally said that he respected the decisions that the jury made because in this country we operate on due process. Everyone's due to a fair trial, and he acknowledged that and just had to respect the decision.
Yeah, and Carmelo Anthony found guilty in the murder of Austin Metcalf, 35 years in Texas State Prison. Cody Thomas with Court TV, you did an amazing job covering this trial. Cameras were not allowed. Audio recording was not allowed. And you just did a great job painting the picture for us in what was a very, very difficult case for so many people.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Chris. And I thank you for having me every night to give the people the updates in there because, transparency inside a courtroom is very important for public perception. So I was happy to do it. And I thank you for having me on here so I can relay this information to the world.
Yeah. And just a tough case. Now we'll do.
I don't know, bro. Everybody going to have they viewpoints, obviously, as we see in the whatever how long we've been on here, 2 hours that we've been reacting. You got people that feel one way, some people that feel another way. Obviously, if you've been watching the reaction, my thoughts. Conflict resolution. How could this have been prevented? I mean, words is words, You got to keep your hands to yourself, man. You got to keep your hands to yourself. I think all this could have been prevented if people just keep that. No winners. I'm not here to say, I'm team this person or I'm for this person or listen. It should have never got beyond words. Period. Should have never got beyond words. And that's it. That's my thoughts on it. I don't think we're gonna have time to get to the Floyd shit. Well, hold on. Let me see. What time is it? What time is it? Let me see. Maybe I should wait till tomorrow to do the Floyd. I don't want to be here all for another hour. No, I was referring to when you said you was getting robbed and they had Blicky on you. You would shoot him, LOL. I don't think you was thinking like that back then, not about the stabbing. I disagree with you. I think being a gun owner, there's a responsibility that comes along with it. There's a great deal of responsibility that comes along with it. You got some gun owners who are gun owners who I wish a motherfucker would type gun owners. I'm not a wish a motherfucker would type of gun owner. I'm just not. Why? Because what's known don't need to be explained. See, I'm not looking to do nothing to nobody. I'm not a wish a motherfucker would is wishing a motherfucker would. So you're going about your day every day wishing somebody try you. I go about my day hoping people just leave me alone. I don't want to never have to do nothing to nobody, bro. Right? And I'm also a person who I'm not going to use a certain type of force if it's not warranted. See, there's some people that could be a gun owner, right? And have the gun on them and they're going to take the opportunity for a strong arm robbery to use their gun. Or they might take the opportunity for an armed robbery, even if they got the ups on the person. But if I got some short paper and there's some distance and I can, I know how to move, I'm going to toss that shit on the ground. And if they pick it up off the ground, because me, I'm from that too. So I know how to move. I'm not going to hand you, if there's distance, I'm going to keep separation. I'm not going to go in my pocket and hand it. If I can throw it on the ground and they going down the pit, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. And if they going about their business, then I gave them what I had, whether it be $10, whether it be $100, it could be $150. I don't really carry a lot of bread like that, if any. They can have it. I got fire on me. They never knew it. It's not worth me taking their life. It ain't a situation. If I got fire on me and I got that short paper and they put me in a situation where I'm going to have to defend myself, then that's a different situation. So no, I disagree. I think certain situations require certain responses. I think certain situations require certain responses. National weather, severe thunderstorm in effect till 4:30. Yeah, so no, I disagree. You wouldn't shoot him, LOL. I don't think it was thinking like that back then, not about to stab him. No. If I was in that situation, back then, if he pushed me, I would have pushed him back. If he would have pushed me harder, I would have pushed him harder. If it was a shoving match, eventually I would have just fired on his ass. Like big niggas like that, you got to break them down to size. You got to break them down. So it's a fight. Kick them, knee them, kick them in the balls. Do whatever you got to do to get a big motherfucker down to size. It's a fight. So I disagree with you. I'm not finna just do something to somebody for some dumb shit. It's just not, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not no wish a motherfucker would type. Like people that do that shit, they get what they asking for. And what they get, it might not go their way. They ask for it, but it still might not go their way. Shit, that's real. I hope I never have to use mine. Only have one because other cats got that thing. Right. I don't want to never have to That's like I don't understand why people like that shit is for protection. That's not shit not to no. And even in some situations I'm saying like I ain't All right, man. Let's shoot. Y'all want to cover the Floyd shit or what y'all want to do? Mama told me as a youngin' too, it's bigger kicks and balls or something. What? Mama told me that as a youngin' too. If bigger kick them in the balls, bro, I'm not going under somebody's tent. And if you do, you asking for an ass whipping. I just played sports all high school regardless to get shelter somewhere else. If it's raining, LL, no funny. Here's the thing. You gotta see. I hear what you saying, Beats, because you've been in the service, right? But in the service, you playing with a different set of rules. You playing with a different set of rules. See, and this is where we can have a conversation. Y'all gotta listen. When you in the service, you playing with a different set of rules. See, when you in the service, it's different. You fighting in a war, you can have at it for the most part. But see, on this side, as a legal responsible gun owner, there's a gray area. There's a gray area. Because guess what? Even as a responsible gun owner and you use your weapon, the state's attorney could still pick up the case. There's gray areas. When you're in the military, you fighting overseas or you fighting in a war. Yeah, they teach you defend yourself, disarm a motherfucker, this, that, and the third. There's not much gray area like it is when you're a gun owner with a gun license. Motherfucker gotta be looking at you. You can't shoot a motherfucker in the back in certain situations. Certain situations you can, most situations you can't. If a person takes something from you and the threat is no longer present, you can't pull your weapon out and shoot them. You can't chase a motherfucker down the street. There's certain things as a responsible gun owner that you can't do. There's gray areas there. Versus a person like you who's thinking from your military training. So as a responsible gun owner, when you're faced with a situation, you have to process a lot in a split second. Yo, the motherfucker robbed you, but he never presented a weapon, and you shot him. It was a strong arm robbery. State prosecutor pick up the case. CCL present, CCL valid, everything. Hey, he never presented a weapon. He came with aggression and said, yo, give me what you got. Give me your money. Pinned you up against the wall like that. You pull out your gun, you do a side thing, boom, shoot him, hit him, bop. Police let it go. State's attorney pick it up. Well, he was robbing me. He wasn't armed. It was a strong arm. See, I hear what you're saying, but how would they know I had a weapon on me? In my state, you can't open carry. It's concealed carry. So if you in an open carry state and a person reach for your weapon, like I seen a viral video down in Georgia or something like that, one of those open carry states, yeah. If I lived in an open carry state, I wouldn't open carry. I think people that open carry in open carry states, to me, I think it's goofy. if the I just got a severe thunderstorm alert warning and the lights is flashing. So if the stream just go black, that mean, and it just blinked. So destructive 80-mile-an-hour winds take shelter away from windows, flying doors, debris. So if the stream just go black, it's because this thunderstorm that's about to start right now with these 80-mile winds. See, no CCL is required here. So, and there. But this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm speaking from my situation, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to. Everybody want to get home at the end of the day. I don't want to sit somewhere and they have to explain to a motherfucker some shit over and over and over and over and over again for $50 or $20, bro. That's just not me. Some of y'all motherfucker rob you for $20, you gonna take their life. I'm not taking your life for $20. You can have it. I'm just keeping it 1,000. Nigga, if you catch me on the right day in the right car and you try to carjack me, I may just let you have it. I'm not finna get into a gunfight like this dude here. He was a fire marshal here a few years, about 7, 8 years ago. He was trying to steal his Trackhawk or his Hellcat, retired fire chief. What he didn't realize was when the guy approached him when he was coming out of the popcorn shop, it wasn't just him. It was 3 other motherfuckers in another stolen Trackhawk. So now he thinking it's just a one-on-one gunfight. Now you got 3 other motherfuckers that's in the Trackhawk that was stolen trying to steal his that shoot. Now he's 4 guns against 1. And he obviously he was killed. I come out the spot, you land on my shit. You land on me. I come out, you approach me. I'm in a hot vehicle that, listen, you buy a Trackhawk, you buy a Hellcat, you know what you signing up for. You got a Trackhawk, you got a Hellcat, you know what you signing up for. You know what come along with it. You go park it at the grocery store, you go park it at a club, you go park it at a popcorn shop. It's a possibility. 1, when you come out, it might not be there. 2, when you come out, it may be a motherfucker laying on your shit. 3, they could put a tracker on it. 4, they land on it to the point where when you come out, they just at you. You know what comes along with that shit. He came out, he wanted to get into a gunfight, except it was 3 other guns that he didn't. So every situation, like, bro, like, I don't know. Some of y'all, y'all be telling on y'all self. Like, if y'all was faced with some of these situations head on, I'm telling you, some of y'all think y'all would pull fire. No, you wouldn't. You would probably freeze up. You'd probably freeze up and not know what to do. Yeah, I mean, just because you let a person have it doesn't make you a weak person, because you have to assess what it is. If you got $20, $30 on you, like, bro, who want fuck. Like, me, if that would have happened and I went the other way, I took option A. Somewhere, whether it be a week later or 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later or a month later, I'm gonna replay that shit in my head and I'm gonna question if I made the right decision. Because I'm gonna say, bro, was it worth it for a few bucks? I could have let that shit go. Could have let it go. but I know you get some tough motherfuckers that's out here. They itching. You said best of time is, but see, here's the thing, Beats. You never know. You never know when a situation could present itself. That's the thing. You never know when a situation could present itself. I remember a long time ago, somebody ran up on me with mistaken identity. Nothing happened. Right before the act caught me, I wasn't slipping. I just wasn't expecting nothing to happen. Motherfucker ran up on me, and right before he got ready to do what he was going to do, he realized I wasn't who he thought I was. If that would have happened today with the drugs these motherfuckers be on today, it probably wouldn't have went that way. So I said that to say this, like, you don't know, it might not even got nothing to do. It could be mistaken identity. You could be at the car wash, you could be at the grocery store, you could be at the barber shop, you could be at the gym, and it could be a mistaken identity situation. Doesn't necessarily have to, there's no such thing as, a good neighborhood. Bad people go to good neighborhoods because victims are easier. It's easier vicks in good neighborhoods. So you could be in a good neighborhood thinking that everything is fine, but there's bad people canvassing good neighborhoods because good people think that because they're in a good neighborhood, they can walk their dogs with their Van Cleefs and things of that nature, and nothing's going to happen, not understanding that the criminals are smart and they realize that these people situational awareness is low because they're in a good neighborhood and they're easier victims. The victims in the good neighborhoods are easier. These are easier vicks. In bad neighborhoods, everybody's on guard because you expecting some shit to happen. So everybody has that situational awareness. You go here downtown Lincoln Park, motherfuckers walking around with their dogs and scrolling in their phone. You walking down the street, typing in your phone, not aware of what the fuck is going on. In the hood, motherfuckers ain't on that. Motherfuckers is aware. On that car. What's that? In certain areas, motherfuckers is literally walking down the street, phone in one hand, little bitty dog in the other hand, damn near finna walk out into traffic, bro. They ain't paying attention to nothing, bro. Anything can happen anywhere, bro. So I think the best thing to do in situations is mind your business and keep your hands to yourself. And that's the part that I'm seeing that people is having a hard time with, just the whole minding their business and keeping their hands to themselves. So, what about the dude that got robbed and killed on live stream in Chicago? What dude? I don't even know who you talking about. Oh, you talking about last year? I know you talking about out west. Dude ass was a promoter. So he had a big following and, he was live streaming. And when he was on live stream, his low. Motherfucker could see where he was at. So you a promoter, you got a big social media following, you on live stream, iced out, you sitting in the car, right, streaming, your lowest drop. You sitting here streaming for time and time and time. Your lowest drop. You know what it is. Sitting ducks get plucked. You know why some of these guys who know better get caught up in situations like this? Because they be off their square. They be high. If you know you playing with a bag, or you know you playing with a bag and you in the street, combination of the both, whatever, and you go on stream, the first thing you should know is you can't drop your low. Second thing you should know, sitting ducks get plucked. So you can't drop your low and be sitting on the stream lacking. You may not be into it with nobody, but you don't know who watching you. And you icy, and it's a motherfucker watching you, and they see your low, and they right around the corner, and they thirsty and they hungry, and they broke. You inviting that shit, bro. So that's what happened in that situation. You said people who don't have situational awareness shouldn't carry weapons. I think you just have to have a level of discernment, right? I think, in situations, in some situations you may have a split second to make a decision, and you got to process a lot in that split second. And what the decision you make, it could have consequences, right? So, I think what people need to focus on nowadays is conflict resolution. Every situation doesn't warrant some type of a response. Doesn't mean you a punk, don't mean you a pussy, don't mean none of that. It's just some situations don't warrant a response. You got a lot of fake tough people out here. You got a lot of people who dealing with mental shit. You got a lot of people who want some I wish a motherfucker would type shit. You dig what I'm saying? You got a lot of just people just today out here in the world is just on edge. For whatever reason, bro. You got a lot of people out here that's just very emotional and on edge. So you got to kind of keep that all in mind. You got to think for you, and then you got to think for the other person too. So every situation doesn't warrant a response, bro. It just doesn't. Sometimes it's okay to just let a person have it. Be like, you got it, dog. You got it. Nothing wrong with it, So, but you have to be able to assess you have to be able to assess the situation, right? So, don't own easy theft vehicle like Tracker and Hellcat if you don't have a house with the garage. Here's the thing. They'll steal it out the garage, but you got the car, you're going to drive it. They'll steal it at the grocery store. They'll take you out of it at the red light. I think you should, in that situation, don't buy the car. If you do buy the car, just understand what comes along with it. That's all. I think if you want a Hellcat or you want a track car, get it. Excuse me. Just don't get it naive, especially if you live in LA or if you live in Chicago or if you live in Memphis. You dig? Don't get a Hellcat or a track hawk and think you're just going to be able to have a comfortable ride. Your ride will never be comfortable. Never. You'll never have a comfortable ride. Every red light, every moment that you're driving down the street, you're going to be checking your mirrors, making sure ain't nobody following you. Every red light, you're going to make sure that you're not getting boxed in. Every red light, you need to go on the right side so you can take off. Every red light, if you can't get on the right side, you need to give yourself enough space from the car in front of you so that if a motherfucker run up, you can bail. You can't put yourself in a situation where you gotta that's a very stressful drive because you're always on the defense. You can't go to the grocery store with it. You can't go to a club with it. You can't go anywhere where you're going to park it for a period of time. It could be 3 minutes and it'll be gone. You got to constantly do a sweep to make sure I ain't put a tracker on it. If this is what you want to deal with, go ahead, get it. But just don't be stupid and naive and know you don't live in middle America somewhere. You know you live in a big city and think that you're going to have a comfortable drive and you're going to drive 10 to 2 and at every red light you can chill and just bump your music and not pay attention to what's going on and think it's going to be sweet like that. No, it's not. Just understand what you're getting into before you get into it. That's all. It's simple, bro. It ain't like this shit ain't hard, bro. Like life is about choices and decisions. The problem is people like know what you're getting into before you. It's just like business. Don't come into business not understanding. Understand what you're investing in. Don't invest in the things that you don't understand. Don't get a Hellcat or a Trackhawk and think shit just gonna be sweet. It's not. Eventually, especially if you live in certain markets, you're gonna run it. You're gonna be tested, whether you in the car or you not, bro. It's just what it is. If that's not something you want to do, if you want a comfortable ride, you don't want to worry about looking over your shoulder and your mirrors every fucking inch of your drive, then don't get that type of car. Imminent threat alert. National severe thunderstorm warning in effect. 80 mile. Imminent threat. So guess I'll wait. I was finna get off, but since it's telling me to sit my ass down, I'll wait to go to the gym. Let me see. We could cover the Floyd situation. Fuck it. I'll cover it to 5 and then we'll get out of here.
Was able to go directly to the source to signing contracts. Money Mayweather has money problems. He owes the IRS, he owes car dealers, he's pawning jewelry. A guy who's made hundreds of millions of dollars in his career is somehow running out of money. And now he's suing everyone, claiming he's owed money. While he may be able to keep up the facade that it's everyone else's fault, Floyd's spending problem is the reason why he's going broke. I was able to go directly to the source to get private information that hasn't been shared publicly yet. To discuss the recent lawsuit that sent shockwaves throughout the sports world. Mayweather suing former associate in an alleged $175 million fraud scheme. That associate, Jonah, shared with me private text messages, private images of Floyd signing contracts, and
I want to personally apologize for the inconvenience caused by the delay in receiving your checks this month. I am currently implementing significant changes within my business, which has contributed to this delay. I appreciate your patience during this time. Your bills and lifestyle are important to me, and you can expect your check by Wednesday or Thursday. Thank you for your understanding and support.
And access to private communication with this team. And the proof I've been given will contradict everything you've heard in the news about this case. By going through all of the claims presented in the lawsuit, I'll share all the private information that I have access to so we can understand fully what's going on with Floyd Mayweather. In 2017, Recknitz and Mayweather became friends, which ultimately led to Recknitz becoming Floyd's investment manager, real estate advisor, and banking liaison. Jonah helped put deals together for Floyd. He was his manager. So that's sponsorships, real estate deals, and fights, just to name a few revenue streams. Jonah shared with me that he was not on salary, meaning he only made money when there was a commission on finding a deal. As an example, Jonah...
So basically, Jonah, which became his manager at 2017, I think, he said he was on a eat what you kill basis, meaning if he didn't go out and find the money, he didn't get paid.
Share with me that Floyd was running out of money in 2020, so Jonah put together a fight with Logan Paul to generate income, as well as many other exhibition fights. Turns out the only people actually punching Floyd in the face at this time were the IRS debt collectors. More on that in a minute. The first big claim that Floyd makes is that he wasn't aware that in 2016 Rechnitz had pleaded guilty to wire fraud conspiracy, that Rechnitz had cooperated with the United States attorney, or that Rechnitz had been the subject of significant civil litigation. What Floyd's attorney was trying to do with this complaint is make it look like Floyd was taken advantage of by a guy with a questionable past. Like Floyd is this innocent victim who had no idea who this guy really was. There's a little problem with that, because I have proof he did know. This letter on the screen was sent in 2023 by Floyd Mayweather to a U.S. District Judge for the Southern District of New York. Be able to keep up the facade. That associate, Jonah, shared with me private text when there was a commission on finding a deal, or that Rechnitz had been the subject of significant civil. Floyd Mayweather's letter to the judge in Jonah Rechnitz's case, speaking about Jonah's character and why he deserves a better outcome. In the second paragraph, he writes, "We became friendly and I supported him when he was going through the process of being sentenced in 2019. That sounds to me like he knew about Jonah's litigation in New York." In the third paragraph, he writes that Jonah has worked with him as his promoter and business advisor. He has taken the job and run with it, helping Floyd in every aspect and opening up new opportunities. He further mentions the charitable work they've done together. Further down, he mentions that people have tried to take advantage of Jonah by bringing lawsuits against him as a way to extort him. And finally, Floyd writes, "I appreciate you taking the time to read this letter, Your Honor. I would just ask that you consider my personal testimony that Jonah Rechnitz is a good person." He claimed that he didn't know about Jonah's past in the complaint, yet he wrote that letter in support of Jonah, showing he clearly knew about the litigation in New York. So it doesn't seem to add up. Many have speculated that Mayweather is coming out of retirement for a rematch with Pacquiao because he needs the money. Yes,
he is.
This is why. Around August 2025, Floyd needed cash money, so he decided to start pawning his jewelry. Here's a text on August 25th, 2025 of Jonah sending Floyd an image of his watch and the word loan below. That represents that watch as being within the group that was being pawned. Here's the second image sent on that day. The top image is a collection of watches that were grouped together for a November loan and that many had been returned after the balance was paid down. Here's the next message of another collection of watches that were used for a loan. The image on the left is an exhibit Floyd included in the complaint. Within this list are 4 of the watches you see in the text message on the right that were included in the group of watches that were pawned. This indicates he continues to lie about not knowing that his watches were getting pawned for a loan to fund his lifestyle. What was told to me is that Floyd was running out of money. Now, obviously, his broke is a lot different than broke for me and you, but at this time he needed money, so he decided to pawn $13 million from his watch collection. He does have his own jet and has flown private for a couple decades, and he has an extensive...
Why would he pawn his watches? Why wouldn't he just sell them? Why would he pawn them?
Exotic car collection. But what has been shared with me is that his lifestyle is so expensive that he constantly needs to take out loans against all his assets. And it's fine when he's fighting and making money because he can pay the loans back, but it's kind of like musical chairs. Here's Floyd texting about having to give up all of his jewelry and watches and all of...
I gave up all my jewelry and watches, all my woman bags.
His women's bags. Further, he sent the text, "Don't forget about my ladies' Birkins, also that's a part of the $13 million. In December 2025, Floyd texted, "Please keep me updated on my jewelry and Birkins. Thanks." Back in March, so around 7...
Joel, please text me the balance so Jonah knows what the number is. Thanks in advance. Auto reply, today is a Jewish holiday. Of Purim, I will have very limited access to my messages. I hope, Joel, all good, Floyd. 1.85 million in checks, 10.8 million in jewelry, 1.4 in fees. I have recouped everything. I haven't sold any of the pieces. I need 360,000 by Friday so the fees don't keep adding up. So basically, these are the fees, 1.4 million in fees for him pawning this shit. I mean, if he needs money that bad, Floyd has been collecting watches for years, bro. Why wouldn't he just, like, what?
months after he began pawning, he texted his pawn shop lender asking about the balance he owes so Jonah knows what the number is. Jonah, as Floyd's manager and the one who handles all the financial transactions, is the one who ensures that all the loans are paid off. The lender responds $1.85 million in checks, $10.8 million in jewelry, and $1.47 million in fees. And he mentions needing another $360,000 by Friday so the fees don't keep adding up. Floyd received the $13 million for pawning watches in his supposed $100 million watch collection. Jonah shared with me that people pay up to 3% per month, which is why the fees were so high. That loan was almost paid in full. If you reread Joel's message, it makes sense. Joel says, I have recouped everything and hasn't had to sell any pieces. All that remains is another $360,000 so Floyd doesn't have to pay any more fees. In case you aren't following, Joel can sell the watches that were pawned if Floyd doesn't pay the $13 million back. But he didn't need to sell watches because he was paid back and made $1.5 million in fees. In the complaint, Floyd discusses pawning his $100 million jewelry collection with the words, to be pledged or placed in the possession of Joel.
With an asserted value of approximately, so the watches, $100 million in watches. The August 2025 pledge of Mr. Mayweather's jewelry to 2 Miami dealers. Who's down in Miami? Who's he? That's Avi, right? Is that Avi? In or about August 2025 jewelry of Mr. Mayweather with an asserted value of approximately $100 million was caused by Rexniks to be pledged or placed in the possession of Joel Vigo Morito, a Miami jewelry, Joel and Modi, a separate Miami dealer. The aggregate consideration received in connection with those pledges was approximately $13 million. This nigga gave $100 million in watches. He pawned $100 million in watches for $13 million in cash? Less than 14% of the asserted value of the jewelry. This shit is crazy, bro. A substantial portion of the pledged jewelry remains in the possession of Joel and Moti, and no accounting has been provided to Mr. Mayweather. On information believed, the consideration received was diverted by Rexniks and not paid to Mr. Mayweather. He pawned $100 million worth of watches for $13 million. He paid $18 million if he wasn't lying for the Jacob watch. Why wouldn't he just sell the damn watch? Why wouldn't he? I'm pretty sure it's 1 or 2 watches that he could have just sold. I'm trying to figure out why is he pawning shit, bro?
A Miami jewelry dealer, the amount received was around $13 million. A substantial portion of the pledged jewelry remains in the possession of Joel and Modi, and no accounting has been provided to Mr. Mayweather, and then alleges that the consideration received was diverted by Rexniks and not paid to Floyd. I just shared the text messages between Floyd and Joel, showing the accounting of the transaction, and that nothing seemed to be awry. This is not the first time Floyd has had to take a pawn loan. Earlier last year, he borrowed $1 million from his friend Avi, the owner of Avi & Co., against his $18 million Jacob & Co. watch.
Right. So I remember when, this is what I'm saying. Why wouldn't he just sell the fucking watch? He could have just sold this watch. I don't know if this watch has appreciated since he bought it or what, but I would have just got rid of this motherfucker, bro. I'm not finna pay fees. And I could just get rid of this shit, take an exhibition fight, and run this shit back up, bro. I'm not really tweaking on the watch, bro. Like, why wouldn't he just sell the watch? Why are you pawning shit, bro? And you got all these assets you could just let go, bro, and be right back. I got this shirt too. I got this same shirt. This shit crazy, bro.
Upon research, I realized that even though the retail is $18 million, the market value is about $2 to $3 million. So Floyd's...
See, that's the thing, bro. When he bought that watch, I'm like, bro, like, why would you pay? I figured that watch was overpriced. I don't think that watch was worth $18 million when he bought it.
$100 million jewelry collection is more likely worth a fraction of that. Why is Floyd Mayweather pawning jewelry despite being so wealthy and always seemingly around cash? I asked Jonah how much Floyd spends every single month on his team, and Jonah estimated around $1 million. What happens when you can't afford your team's salaries? Here's a video from Floyd's assistant of his entire jewelry collection as they took photos and video of all of the jewelry before pawning. This photo is the same table from the video before with cash on the table, as that was the cash delivered for pawning the jewelry. When you add up Floyd's entire lifestyle, he could easily be spending $2 to $3 million per month, which means he probably needs to be making around $50 million of pre-tax income in order to just break even on that lifestyle expenses. When you're fighting Conor McGregor or Manny Pacquiao, you can cover that type of spend. But I always talk about this in my Athletes Going Broke series. These athletes will keep their lifestyle spend around the same, and when that income goes to essentially zero, they go broke pretty quickly. Floyd claims Jonah screwed him, but ironically, Jonah actually saved him from being bankrupt. Floyd claims he invested $31.5 million into real estate deals and has made a nominal amount of money as a return on his investment. I actually have the distribution letter for this portfolio. Here's the 3 portfolios listed totaling $31.5 million. The annual distribution for the total is around $3.9 million. Back in 2024, when Floyd began investing in real estate, he had no liquidity, meaning he had no cash flow and essentially had no cash to his name. Jonah presents an idea to Floyd Mayweather, as Floyd at the time had 2 properties that were owned in full, however, they weren't being rented out, so they were costing him money every month. Jonah says you should invest that money in real estate so that you can start earning cash flow. In one of the exhibits filed with the complaint, Floyd shows the sale of his Beverly Hills and Miami properties.
So he sold the, which property is this? Miami property with $13 million, and the Beverly Hills property for $16 million. Chicago Title Company.
Instead of having 2 houses sit empty like before, Floyd is now earning almost $4 million every year in cash flow while owning valuable real estate in New York. So it's odd seeing him file this complaint alleging he's been screwed. Does anyone remember this fight? It was in 2015, 11 years ago. And this fight was in 2017. Al Heyman had to advance Floyd money from this fight because Floyd had already spent all of his money. All of this spending is not new. It's been going on for years.
Reimbursement of advances, $36.2 million.
So think about this. It's been 9 years since that fight. Let's assume Floyd spends around $20 million per year, which is pretty reasonable given his lifestyle expenses. That would have meant he spent $180 million since that fight in 2017. He's always posted pictures with cash money because it's his branding. And he certainly has had a lot of money at one point. But spending a couple $1 million per month blows through this cash instantly. Floyd may have had a $100 million jewelry and watch collection, and that's certainly wealthy to me and you, but when you're spending $20, $30 million per year, that $100 million can dry up pretty quickly. Which is why he now needs to exit retirement to fight Manny Pacquiao for a payday. One of the other claims is about Floyd selling his jet and not receiving any money. There's mention in the complaint that the block for the purchaser was left blank. What the media misunderstood was that the plane wasn't sold for $1 like the complaint lists here. Here's the actual signed contract, which does list the consideration of $1 and OVC, and you can see Floyd's signature down below. I think what was misunderstood is that the plane didn't actually sell for $1. OVC means other valuable considerations, which means the sale was for more than $1. This happens when private parties don't want the amount known to the public. Here's the text message between Jonah and Floyd. Jonah sent the payoff letter from the lender of his private jet, as well as a letter from Navy Federal Credit Union regarding a $2.787 million payoff. What happened was Floyd took out a large loan against the value of the jet. So when the jet was sold, a large chunk of the money went to pay off the loan and many of his other debts. Here's the payoff demand statement for the jet. Highlighted is borrower named Floyd Mayweather. The total loan payoff is around $2.79 million, and the
So the jet payoff was 2.7. So he sold the jet to this nigga Floyd, bro.
Highlight in the bottom left is the property collateral as the Gulfstream Learjet. This is the bank wire transfer receipt from the credit union. Both of these documents were sent to Floyd, so he's clearly lying about the jet only selling for $1 and him being out of the know on the jet selling. The picture on the left is Floyd signing the contract, and the picture on the right is Floyd holding the aircraft purchase and sale agreement right after signing it. Does he look disappointed in the terms of the sale? This is the text Jonah sent to Floyd in September 2025, indicating that the house and airplane contracts were done, and Floyd responded, "Let's go." To make it even more clear that Floyd knew about the plane purchase and the terms of the purchase and sale, here's a text between Floyd and Jonah where Floyd writes, "Can you call me about the plane, please? I need for you to update me, please." And Jonah responded, "Plane is ready to close." Jonah saved hundreds of private images, screenshots of text messages, and I can understand why he did it. They were dealing with millions upon millions of dollars. Floyd was going broke, and Jonah worried that Floyd was going to start blaming those around him for his financial problems. Back in November 2025, Jonah sent this message to Floyd saying, "I can help continue to create income for you for life, but you need to start saving more money and spending less. Borrowing from a credit line should be for investment purposes, not to pay past due bills because we will have to pay it back." Floyd also claims that 80%
For years, you take items with payments. Please don't do it anymore. That system that Al allowed is dangerous. It's too stressful catching up. Yes, dates can change. It would be different if it's money that I owed you personally as if I borrowed it from you. But this is for investments in businesses that have a lot of moving parts. You'll notice that I skipped a lot of games lately because I've cut off.
Purposes, not to pay past due bills because we will have to pay it back. Floyd also claims that 80% distributions to Mayweather Promotions LLC and 20% to be paid to Frist Apex Ventures were diverted by Rechnitz. Throughout the complaint, Floyd is claiming that fraud was going on because he only received 80% of the distributions, which is interesting because he signed the operating agreement for that split. This is Floyd holding up the settlement statement of a closed transaction involving his company, Mayweather Promotions, and Frist Apex Ventures. His smile doesn't look like someone who is upset with the deal that just closed. I've seen the operating agreement between these two companies that Floyd signed showing an 80-20 split. And since I promised you receipts, here's the document with the distribution allocation of 80% for Mayweather Promotions and 20% for Frist Apex Ventures. Down at the bottom, you can see Floyd's signature agreeing to the terms of the contract. As part of the fraud claim against Rechnitz and Frist, Floyd claims IL Frist signed distribution letters as manager of Vada Properties when he held no such office, and by signing as CEO of Vada Properties when he held no such office. This is a screenshot of Floyd's Instagram over a year ago. The picture in the middle is Floyd promoting speaking at a conference about real estate with IL Frist. In the post, IL is listed as the CEO of Vada Properties. This is the Real Deal conference where Floyd is talking about buying real estate and IL Frist is the man to his right.
I had a very, very smart team, guys that was very, very educated in real estate. I gave them 9 figures. I went from 7, I skipped over 8 because it was paying so good. I went to 9 figures.
That doesn't sound like someone who is disappointed in the outcome of his real estate investing. Another major allegation in the complaint is that Rechnitz orchestrated a $13 million loan from Hankey Capital LLC secured by Floyd's property in Miami Beach, Florida. The picture in the background is of Floyd and Don Hankey. This property is actually owned by Josh Gatlib and Meyer Orbach. Back in 2024, when Floyd was running out of cash, he needed to sell 2 properties. So he sold it to the 2 names I just mentioned, and it was a favor by them. But the allegation is that $6.5 million of that loan went to the purchase.
Catch what he said. He sold 2 properties in 2024 and it was a favor by them, meaning the only reason they bought the property was to really help Floyd out. So that means they got a hell of a deal for it.
The private jet we discussed earlier in the video, and only approximately $4 million was made available to Mayweather Promotions. The full accounting is right here. $6.5 million to buy a jet with TBE Aviation LLC as the owner. That's Floyd's private jet-related LLC. The $4 million to Mayweather Promotions is listed, and all of the other allocations are listed with none relating to Rechnitz or the other defendants. He also claimed there was another loan of $16.4 million and worded it such that it looks like Frist Apex Ventures took $8.8 million of his money. The money from these properties all became his investment in the $31.5 million portfolio mentioned a few moments earlier, properly managed by the LLC he's suing.
So what I told them is,
Leo mentioned a few moments earlier, properly managed by the LLC he's suing.
See something. Let me see something. So what I told them is, of course, I wanted my payout to be a little different. Normally the payouts are, at the beginning of the month, but I wanted my payouts to be every week, spread it out throughout the week, because I'm traveling, family, friends, we're traveling, we're moving around, we're doing different things. So I wanted my payouts to be like that, and everything played out like it played out, and everything was going great.
This speech stood out to me. Now that I'm viewing it through the lens of Floyd going broke, why in the world would you need to change the distribution schedule to be weekly? Didn't Floyd make like $500 million boxing? Why do you now all of a sudden, you're so tight on cash flow that you need your distributions to be paid every single week so you can afford a vacation? Floyd Mayweather fathers baby with dancer, ordered to pay $1 million in back child support. Jonah told me that Frist Apex Ventures assisted with paying his child support, meaning his lawsuit against them is even more perplexing. I found the court documents with his unexpected baby mama. Floyd did not deny being the father and was not happy with the news. He was angry and blamed her for getting pregnant.
Soon after finding out I was pregnant, I informed the respondent of the pregnancy. Not once did the respondent deny that he was the father to our unborn child. While he did not deny being the father, the respondent was not happy with the news. He was angry and blamed me for getting pregnant. Immediately after finding out about the pregnancy, the respondent began to harass, probably she said me.
Pregnant. He attempted to force her to have an abortion and then blocked her from phone communication and text when he realized she was keeping the baby.
She was a stripper at a strip club. I mean, Floyd, no. This nigga Floyd, bro.
Sounds like a great father. I even have the text messages between Floyd and her, but I'll blur for privacy reasons. It's not good. Here's the child support payments that stopped in December 2024 when Floyd was really having money problems. Floyd was ordered to pay $32,800.
Oh, champ. You moving too quick, champ.
Floyd and her, but I'll blur for.
So she sent him the little baby sonic ultrasound. Due date what? He didn't blur that. Hold on.
Privacy reasons, it's not good. Here's the child support payments that stopped in December 2024 when Floyd was really having money problems. Floyd was ordered to pay $32,850 a month in child support, in addition to $933,050 in back support. This is how you go broke. I also have a letter from the IRS for taxpayer Floyd Mayweather.
Damn, buddy is moving too quick.
This is how you go broke. I also have a letter from the IRS for taxpayer Floyd Mayweather. This is the notice of levy from the IRS for his unpaid $3.35 million in taxes from 2018. This was sent to Wells Fargo to seize any money in Floyd's Wells Fargo account. And they did the same for his JP Morgan Chase account. Here's an official IRS tax lien document sent to Floyd Mayweather on his property for the amount owed of around $7.28 million for the years 2018 and 2023. Some might say he's not going broke, he just wants to push off paying back the IRS, but I think this next document is a smoking gun. This is the collection appeal request Floyd sent to the IRS on why he couldn't pay. The explanation he sent was, need more time to gather the funds to pay in full. This is the IRS about to start seizing his assets. This isn't a personal loan. Why in the world, if he's made hundreds of millions of dollars, why doesn't he just pay the couple $1 million so he can get the IRS off his back? Jonah still hasn't been served with a complaint, which means he can't respond, and also because this lawsuit follows exactly what Floyd does with the media. Floyd has been claiming that he is unaware of a lot of the documents and that he didn't sign for deals. Jonah provided evidence to me of images he took of Floyd having a notary visit his house to sign. I'm blurring a lot of this to protect Floyd's privacy, but those are his fingerprints. Jonah provided a quote, "I do not want to litigate this issue through the media, nor do I want to embarrass Floyd publicly, so I will say this. It's sad that Floyd blew through his money. I wrote him many letters concerning his spending habits, which are documented. I had many conversations with him about slowing down with the spending, but unfortunately it caught up to him and now he's looking to blame others." One of these letters to the TMT team was shared with me. This letter is 5 pages long and describes all of the issues that Jonah was having managed.
You gotta read this. I've taken time to reflect before writing this because what I'm about to say comes from a place of truth, not emotion. Let me look at the leatherhead. Give me a second.
Spending, but unfortunately it caught up to him and now he's looking to blame others. One of these
TMT family letter. All right. When I first became involved with Floyd Mayweather Jr., there was no structured financial system in place. It was a very much an eat what you, I said that earlier, eat what you kill environment. During those days, he was primarily doing club appearances and similar activities that, in my view, were not aligned with building a strong or sustainable future. I stepped in to help bring organization, strategy, and long-term thinking, particularly through investments in real estate, to create meaningful and lasting
letters to the TMT team was shared
through deals I sourced and financial structures I helped put in place. Floyd earned tens of millions of dollars. Every transaction was done with his full knowledge, participation, and documented approval, including signed agreements, communications, notarized documents, and verified financial records. In addition, I secured a documentary series for him, which is currently in development. And I was deeply involved in building out his exhibition fight business, opportunities that create strong positioning, global visibility, and significant upside. As many as you have seen firsthand when I execute an event, whether it was his birthday celebration or a fight exhibition, I do so with a level of professionalism and presentation that reflects positivity on Floyd and enhances his brand.
with me. This letter is 5 pages long and describes all of the issues that Jonah was having managing.
I also made consistent efforts to guide decisions beyond just business. I strongly advise against certain behaviors that I believe would damage his long-term stability and public image. I urged him to step away from sports betting and gambling, and I expressed clearly that involvement in strip club-related businesses would not align with being viewed as a true professional at the highest level. My goal was always to help him evolve, not just financially, but personally, and to position him as a humanitarian figure with integrity and purpose. At the same time, spending habits did not align with long-term stability. Significant resources were consistently directed towards maintaining a lifestyle that required constant cash flow. Rather, listen, your lifestyle. This is crazy. Rather than building a disciplined financial foundation. That's what I'm saying. Just reading this, you got a lifestyle that requires constant cash flow instead of building a financial foundation, including taking care of core responsibilities such as his team and his obligations like the IRS. I've also seen the recent negative press, including issues tied to IRS obligations totaling approximately $7.5 million related to years 2018, 2023. The matter stemmed from how his finances were being handled well before I helped Floyd transition to a new accountant. When I became aware of this in August, I brought it directly to his attention. Situations like this are exactly what I consistently tried to help him avoid, emphasizing the importance of paying obligations first.
Floyd. Jonah even includes.
I will also be very clear about my position. I would never return to working with Floyd. In my experience, people who get close to him often end up being hurt. And I made a decision that I am not going to end up in that position. I will not allow myself to follow the same path that I've seen others go through. Despite all of this, I want to be clear. I am not speaking from anger. I am speaking from disappointment and from genuine concern. I still care about Floyd. I have always tried to be a friend, and I still believe things can be corrected with the right accountability and leadership. To the TMT family, I want you to know that my intentions have always been to build something real, something lasting, based on trust, discipline, and integrity. Now, I'm not saying whether this guy is right or wrong, but those three words are something that you hear me talk about a lot, especially recently with George, as far as the disciplined and integrity. Those things are just fundamental, you know what I'm saying, as it pertains to business.
There's a paragraph about no longer wanting to work with Floyd because of the spending problems and how much of a risk it became to be around Floyd. First, he blamed Al Heyman, and now he's blaming me. He sued Showtime for $340 million, sued Business Insider for $100 million, and now sued me for $175 million. He is unhinged. I hope he can get back on his feet and control his spending. Floyd can continue to lie that he didn't know about the airplane purchase or the jewelry pawns. The facts speak for themselves. There's a lot more, and I have all of the backup, which we tried to show Floyd's attorney before they filed suit, but he refused to review any evidence that would contradict his frivolous lawsuit. Bottom line, I saw the writing on the wall, and because I knew Mayweather may eventually turn on me, I kept meticulous records of all of the transactions. Something I've very much learned over the past few years analyzing litigation and media scandals is that a lot of wealthy people know how to use media and litigation as strategy. I'll show you how media actually works. Let me use this as an example. Back in September 2025, this article titled "Floyd Mayweather Sues Vegas Car Dealer Over Sale. You Lied to Me" was released on TMZ Sports. The article is full of quotes about the dealer engaging in shady business practices and overcharging Floyd and possibly defrauding him. Floyd wasn't the victim. He wanted to use the media to pressure the dealer so the dealer wouldn't come after him for the money Floyd owed the dealer. But the other news organizations need stories, so they spread the headlines that Floyd is suing a car dealer for a fraudulent purchase. Sports Illustrated picks up the story. Then Fox News picks up the story. The following day, the Vegas car dealer filed a complaint against Floyd. Floyd purchased 4 vehicles totaling $2.25 million from.
So he got a 2018 Mercedes Maybach G650, $1.2 million. What? A 2023 Ferrari F8 Spider, $480,000. A 2023 Porsche 911 GT3, $285,000. That's about right. A 2025 McLaren Artura Tech Lux, $285,000. That's about right. This 2018 G650, what the hold on. That's the one I'm looking at. What the fuck is it? I'm thinking it's a Maybach SUV, right? G650. That's what I'm saying. Like, why the fuck would he pay $1.2 million for that? Oh, it's a land delay. It's a land delay. But still, it's a land delay, but still, like, hold on. Hold on. Okay. It's a land delay. That's why. So it's the open back Maybach G-Wagon. He's still like, $900 to 1.4. It's the open back. It's the open back Maybach. The open back. It's an open back G-Wagon. It's an open back G-Wagon.
The dealer. Floyd wrote 2 checks for the purchase of the vehicles. The problem is that the checks bounced. They didn't go through, and Floyd still had possession of the vehicles. Even worse is that Floyd drove one of the cars from Vegas to LA and added 1,500 miles to the car. They ultimately had to reach a settlement agreement where Floyd still owed $1.2 million to the dealer. I think that story is relevant because it's another sign of Floyd's money problems, but I also wanted to highlight his media strategy. Floyd has a private relationship with TMZ Sports. If he wants someone to look bad, he'll go to them first so that they can publish a featured article about Floyd being defrauded. Then he'll file a complaint full of lies the following day and paint himself out to be a victim. TMZ Sports was the first to reveal this story. A lot of people mentioned to me that I should make a video about Floyd suing his business manager, but I held off because I wanted to hear Jonah's side first because I know exactly how Floyd uses the media. And after Jonah shared hundreds of private images and screenshots of text messages with me, it's clear that this lawsuit is another example of this strategy. In February, Floyd sued Showtime for $340 million, claiming there's a conspiracy to not pay him what he's owed. He also sued Business Insider for $100 million and then immediately dropped it. I hope you're starting to see the pattern. He goes to the media to play victim, gets all the other news organizations to distribute distribute the story because he's a very big name, and then he hopes that he can settle with the other side so that he doesn't go bankrupt. Guys like Floyd use the media as a strategy, not as reporting on truth. Logan Paul claims Floyd still owes him money. Miami jeweler sues Floyd Mayweather Jr. for $1.4 million bling tab.
Mayweather pre-sold the event to the foreign company for $10 million in cash before the fight ever took place in the United States, and that Paul's contractual cut of that deal was never paid.
Still owes him money. Miami jeweler sues Floyd Mayweather Jr. for $1.4 million bling tab. The retired boxer asked to pay the $1.675 million owed to the jeweler at a later date. The jeweler also alleges that Mayweather submitted 5 checks that bounced. Floyd Mayweather sued for $330,000 in alleged unpaid rent on luxury Manhattan apartment. Another lawsuit filed against Floyd for the use of an unpaid private jet trip. I've been sued a couple different times and know what it's like to have multiple false allegations written about you in a complaint. I've been accused of being a member of a criminal enterprise and assaulting someone. See, in America, you can write whatever you want in the complaint, even if it's full of lies. What's interesting about this lawsuit is that it's a verified complaint, meaning Floyd is signing under the penalty of perjury that everything is factual. Maybe he isn't capable of reading ChatGPT's answer on why it's a bad idea filing a verified complaint full of lies. He could be hit with a perjury charge. Floyd also has a bit of a gambling problem. It's known that he bets a lot of money on sports. If you follow my channel, then you know how much money these guys lose betting on sports. Easily millions of dollars. The amount of money these degenerates gamble is truly mind-boggling. Just this one hand of blackjack appears to have around $100,000 wagered. Not a good look when you owe the IRS. There were many claims, but to summarize the main claims against Rechnitz, Floyd alleged that the jet sold for $1 and he didn't receive any of the proceeds. The evidence proves this is a lie. Floyd also alleged that he wasn't aware of this jewelry being pawned and that he didn't receive the proceeds. The evidence proves this is also a lie. And lastly, Floyd claims he was defrauded in his real estate transactions with Rechnitz and Frist. The evidence again proves that this is a lie. Even worse, they're helping him make nearly $4 million in cash flow every year, which is keeping him from filing bankruptcy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.
Damn. Wow. Oh, I don't know. Floyd. I don't know what to say about Floyd. At the end of the day, we what's known don't need to be explained. This shit been going on maybe 08, 09. The rumors have been since the rumors kind of started maybe 08, 09 that Floyd Mayweather was going broke. The reason why I think it lasted this long, I mean, he got a lot of money. He's got a lot of relationships, obviously, as you see. And, he has a skill set that, if you put his name on a card, whether it's a pro fight or an exhibition, it's money is going to be made. So he's been able to bob and weave for damn near 2 decades without getting to this point. The rumor has been out there. I think why the rumor has been out there is because the people he's been borrowing from and shit like that, they talk, people talk, and, people talk, and that shit gets out there. It just hasn't been proof until now. It's just come to a head now that people are just dropping the receipts and not keeping quiet. The earliest I can remember was maybe like 09. I remember Rick Ross in that song, was it Maybach Music, Mafia Music, when he said that Mayweather money looking funny in the light. But I don't really care. We just throw it in the air, some shit like that. That was 09. So even back then, motherfuckers was tapping Mayweather's jaw about his money being funny. And, I mean, not not count his pockets, but just from the outside looking in, the way he's spending, how he's spending, and how he moved without having full insight into his earnings. Like, I mean, it was just obvious, bro. It was just a matter of time. Listen, I'm surprised he been able to finagle it shit this long. And it's just come to a head now. And he's been really, really quiet. And unfortunately, you know, if you don't have discipline, shit like this can happen. Somebody said he a simp. Yeah, you know, a lot of tricking, a lot of spending. Like, how many cars can you drive? How many houses can you own? Like, why are you buying all these Birkin bags? Like, why do you need Birkin bags? At one point, he had a harem of hoes. I remember one of them All Access episodes, maybe from, I forgot which fight, where they showed his harem. I remember when Ray J baby mama, Ray J wife was part of his harem. What's her name? Princess. Miss Jackson, Princess. He had a whole harem of hoes. So you figure all these hoes, they look good, they high maintenance, so the upkeep of all these women, he's tricking off on all these women. He's spending hella money on himself. He got every single Rolls Royce. At one point, he had 3 Bugattis, 3 or 4 Bugattis. He just bought, which the check bounced, he bought a Land O'Lakes for like $2.5 million, which he had every Ferrari, every Lamborghini. I remember used to seeing the screenshots of him betting in Vegas. And I think that's another thing. Just living in Vegas could be dangerous for a person like Floyd, or just anybody. A lot of people go out to Vegas and they get stuck out there. A lot of people you see on the strip in Vegas, the reason why they on the street is because they went out there thinking they was going on a little trip to gamble, and they lost everything in Vegas. And they've been stuck there ever since. I think he a degenerate gambler. I think he ain't got good people around him. I think if he did have good people around him at one point, they have removed himself because he probably don't listen to him no way. Everybody that's still around him, that has been around him, like that one white security guard that's been around him for years, and the guy he calls his best friend, the dude who was a rapper, I forget his name. I think it started with a P. I forget his name. All these guys are yes men, right? As long as he's spending and he taking care of them, they ain't gonna never tell him no. So he got a lot of yes men around him. He ain't got no real ones around him. Like I said, the real ones that probably was around him have removed himself, or he has removed himself from around them. He paid $18 million for this watch. I remember when he bought this watch. And I'm just like, damn. And it was a one-on-one, but why, bro? To me, this shit ain't even. And then you pawning the watches. The issue I'm seeing with Mayweather, even still with the assets that he owns, that he can relinquish, pay off his debt, and still be up millions, he don't want to get rid of the shit. He can't let go of the shit. He's got this complex, this attachment to this shit where he can get rid of that shit, bro. Run his bag up, get rid of that shit, pay off his debt, still be up millions. Go fight Pacquiao, go fight somebody else, run up some more millions, and then just make better financial decisions going later. But he rather pawn the watches because he's attached to materialistic things. He don't want to rid himself of the watches. He rather pawn the watches, borrow money against it, and then pay millions of dollars in fees, and then go fight and pay off the loans instead of pay off his taxes, or pay off the jewelers, or pay off the car dealers. So it's just bad financial decisions that all lead back to materialistic shit that he really don't even need. Sad situation, man. Manny Pacquiao will beat Floyd or whatever. It's a payday at this point for Floyd. You say he care about the image. He definitely care about the image. See, the thing is, he don't want his watches and shit to be sold because then that image, people gonna be like, okay, because now the jewelers, his shit is gonna start going on the market, and you got to think about it like a business person. We not just selling a watch, we selling Floyd Mayweather's watch. So now you're gonna see a bunch of marketing on a bunch of watches that's coming into the watch market that were owned by Floyd Mayweather. So that's gonna make the value go up, and he doesn't want that type of publicity. He don't want that type of press. So he whether quietly pawn them, borrow against it, go out, fight, rob for Peter. What he's doing for the past probably 20 years from what I can see is robbing Peter to pay Paul. Just on a real high level. He's been robbing Peter to pay Paul. The jet, the maintenance on the jet, paying the pilots, just that alone is a lot of fucking money, especially the way Floyd was moving. You'll see Floyd in Vegas one day, the next day he in Monaco. The next day he in Ibiza. The next day he in Africa. A week later he's back in Spain somewhere. A week later he's in London. Then he's back in New York. So now you got all that jet fuel. You paying the pilots. I remember one time I was watching him. He sent his jet. He sent his pilot and his jet to go pick somebody up to bring them back to him abroad or something. He told the pilot, he called the pilot. I think it was on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. He was flexing the stunt. He called the pilot on speakerphone and he told the pilot to fire up the jet. The pilot was like, yeah, we're ready to go. We're just eating dinner. Yeah, I need you to go pick this person up, bring them back. And then so all that shit costs money. Just think he just was living a lifestyle for many, many years that he couldn't really afford. His spending was excessive. And I think he created his image when he transitioned from Pretty Boy to Money Mayweather. And he got caught up in that character, right? When he transitioned from Pretty Boy to Money Mayweather, he got caught up in that character. Obviously, during that time period, he had some really, really high-paying fights. And he created this lifestyle that he couldn't keep up with. So this is why Mike Tyson is the best boxer since said Floyd should have learned from Mike Tyson. I think Floyd should have. So he's just a low-end millionaire now, no biggie. He'll learn to live regular. 50 Cent attempted to go into business with Floyd many years ago. 50 stated that Floyd had no real business sense and that he couldn't understand contracts. And that's another thing. Floyd couldn't read. We learned that maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when 50 put out those videos of Floyd attempting to read. He couldn't read. But I still don't think that negates, I don't think that's the reason why he's in this situation, because he couldn't read contracts or he probably couldn't comprehend or understand things. I just think he made poor business decisions. This watch is one of them. I think Floyd has made enough money that he could have a nice watch collection, right? Because these watches, they depending on which ones you get, can appreciate, right? You can look at it as a storage of wealth. The properties, right? You can look at that as a storage of wealth, right? How many, that could be up for debate. How many properties do you need for you personally? You know what I'm saying? That could be up to debate, but still you could look at those as a storage of wealth. A lot of these cars, some of them you can look at, right? Depending on which ones, maybe some of those Ferraris, right, can appreciate depending on which ones you get. But to have 3 Bugattis, that's just a waste of money. To have every Rolls Royce from the Wraith to the Dawn to the Phantom to the Cullinan, that may be a little bit excessive. Every single Ferrari, that may be a little bit excessive. every Lamborghini that's on the market from he was buying Gallardos, Aventadors, Murcielago. I mean, he's been around a while. So Murcielagos, so that may be a little bit excessive. A harem of hoes. How many hoes do you need? At one point, Floyd had like 10 hoes. That was like living with him and shit like that. The Birkin bags. I think Floyd made enough money that he could afford a jet and maintain a jet. But it's all this extra bullshit and the tricking off. Like, you got a strip club and you fucking to work. You fucking a stripper in your strip club and you fucking a raw. Like, buddy ass is tweaking. So, whatever, bro. Floyd, Floyd is one of the best ever. But, the nigga made bad decisions. It is what it is. He made bad business decisions. I'm pretty sure he's done got screwed over. I'm pretty sure he has people that handle his business dealings that have his best interest. I'm pretty sure there's people that he's come across, that he's done business with, that realized that he was incompetent and struggled reading and comprehending, that probably took advantage of him. Still, all in all, he's made very poor business decisions and he's managed his money very poorly. So at the end of the day, he's still at fault. So I don't really feel bad for him. Great boxer, but he was in a position financially that a lot of people wish they could be in, and he squandered the shit away. So it's on him, bro. Whatever. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, you don't see them in exotic cars or houses like that. That's a topic for another day, bro. We can have that conversation another day, which is true. You're right. We can, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking to yesterday. Our culture, we got to stunt. We got to shit on a motherfucker, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with buying nice things, but there's got to come a time where you have to make responsible decisions on, when enough is enough, when it becomes excessive. I just think, this watch, that Jacob should have never sold his watch to nobody. The only person who should have bought this watch was some guy over in Saudi Arabia, over in Dubai. They got hella bread that they don't mind tricking. You dig what I'm saying? But they got hella bread that they could trick 18 million. Other than that, the people here that are billionaires, like the people you name, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, they not buying shit like this, bro. They ain't buying shit like this. To them, this shit is gaudy. This some gaudy ass shit. When Floyd first bought this, I said, man, that's a gaudy ass watch. $18 million you paid, and it's only worth $2 million now. You lost $16 million because the watch was never worth $18 million. Jacob got you. You don't see Michael Jordan blow through his money like that. Michael Jordan spent a lot of money, but Michael Jordan generates a lot of money. Yeah, Michael Jordan don't have nearly half the materialistic shit that Floyd got. But Michael Jordan has made good investments. Michael Jordan has a brand around his name that's going to pay him for the rest of his life, going to pay his kids. So, Michael Jordan, matter of fact, you gotta give it to his mother. A big part of, Michael Jordan was the deal that his mother helped to craft when he first got signed with Nike that evolved into, brand Jordan. Michael Jordan has invested into things like NASCAR and built other businesses around brand and Team Jordan that is why he's a billionaire and Floyd isn't. Floyd has made enough money. Floyd has earned fighting almost $1 billion just fighting. All his fights collectively, like $750 million. So collectively earning almost $1 billion throughout his career, Floyd should be a billionaire because a lot of that money, the money should have been invested in things that are generating more money. But nah, Floyd bought a lot of dumb shit. So it's on Floyd. I'm all for the flex. I actually love the way black people flex. Just make sure you don't look stupid in the end. Handle business. That's it. That's all Floyd didn't do. But I do think he flexed a little bit too much. I think he flexed a little bit too much. That's all. That's all. And I think he became obsessive. He became obsessed with the flexing. And this is where his story kind of ends. Hopefully, you know, he can pay off his debt. Maybe he can sell some of these watches. He got to get rid of these watches. He got to start selling off these cars. I think once he sell off all his jewelry, right, he'll recoup the money that's owed. I mean, the taxes he owed for 2018, $3 million. I think another $3 million for 2023. That ain't really nothing for Floyd, right? That's $6 million, whatever it is. That ain't real. That shit, that's light work. That's a few watches. He gotta part with some of his shit. He don't want to part with his shit. He rather pawn it and pay high ass fucking fees instead of part with that shit. Part with some of these fucking watches. Floyd got enough watches that he can pay off his taxes, pay off the jewelers, pay off those car loans, and still have plenty of watches and millions of dollars. He just need to get rid of some of his shit. Sell some of them Ferraris you got. Let go of some of them Ferraris. Sell some more property. That's it. He got enough assets. He just don't want to let the shit go for whatever reason. I don't know. It's what it is. So that's on Floyd. You have to have the right people around you. That's why what you do is important, brother. Everything must be held accountable. Yeah, you got to have good people around you. And you have to be a person that realizes that you have good people around you. And the good people you have around you, you have to listen to them because they have your best interests at heart. You can't be a person that, like somebody we seen on the channel recently, I ain't going to say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. He has this persona, and he's not the guy from last week. He's the guy from this week. You could tell in his little mind and his little circle and his little bitty town that he lives in, he's gotten by with doing minimal, but everybody that's around him really ain't on shit. So they champion him even though he really ain't on nothing, but he's done more than them. And his ego is way up here to the point where when he talking to somebody that's way colder than them, he don't really realize because where he at, he's the man because of the people he around. Ain't nobody really challenging that shit. So when somebody is giving that person information or giving them game on how they can elevate and get to a bigger bag, they ain't hearing it. If you're not a yes man, then I'm not trying to hear shit you saying. So Floyd was one of them types of niggas. He just, him and his father fell out for a little minute. So people in this team have fell out. Some of the people that's come across him and doing business dealings have fell out. Him and a few boxers have fell out. Him and Javante fell out. Him and Adrian fell out. Him and the Haneys had some issues. He's just the type of motherfucker that, you can't tell him nothing. It is what it is, but all right. It's been a good show. Hopefully people learned something or didn't learn something, whatever. But hopefully, as far as the Karmelo Anthony situation, there's a lesson. I believe the lesson from that. And, it is what it is. What I've come to learn from being in this content space is that, and it's a learning lesson for me. Like, I was always under the impression that, my upbringing and the type of people that I'm around and the culture, I figured everybody carried themselves and thought like that until I started talking to people from different walks of life and different. Some people see things different. The lesson for me, which I already knew, but if I were to been presenting this case, let's say in front of a class of young adults, as an educator, as a teacher, and I said, the lesson that I would say to the students is keep your hands to yourself. There's consequences behind your actions. There's consequences behind all actions. But I think what led to the situation at hand was the touching shit, the shoving. They could have argued to death and both parties would be here right now. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. We would have never known nothing about this if they would have just argued, fussed, and cussed. We would not know nothing about this. The moment you put your hands on somebody, there's going to be consequences. You can't control how an individual responds. So the lesson that I think, the biggest lesson here, keep your hands to yourself. Understand what comes behind putting your hands on people. It may not go like what he thought. Maybe a fist fight, a shoving fight. I don't think he expected Buddy to do that. Keep your hands to yourself, bro. That's the lesson that I think people learn. I know some of y'all disagree. Some of y'all say, man, he should have never brought the knife. I agree. He should have never had the knife. But guess what? People have shit all the time. It's people out here with concealed weapons and a motherfucker say, fuck you. Or a motherfucker, do some crazy shit that don't warrant you pull the gun out. Same situation here. The shove didn't warrant him pulling the knife out. I know Cruising Lane said earlier he should have never had the knife. True. And but he still didn't have to pull it out even though he had it. We've given examples of that. I'm letting certain shit go even though I got the file on me. I'm not going to shoot you because you stepped on my foot. I'm not going to shoot you because I'm standing in your doorway because I'm trying to get to wherever I'm trying to get to and it starts raining and I'm just going to stand in your doorway real quick to your building to catch a little shelter and you tell me, man, get from under my doorway. You don't live here. I'm going to look at Buddy. I'm going to mind my business. I'm going to ignore him. I'm not going to pull my file and shoot him because he's telling me. Now, if he put his hands on me and shoved me, I'm still not going to pull my file out and shoot him because I'm going to push his ass back. I'm not going to get into a tussle with him because now my weapon may come exposed and then that warrants the threat of a person potentially unarming me. See, I look at things. See, I'm not no sucker type dude. See, some people like, man, this ain't gonna you never know what might happen to you. That's the thing. You never know what might happen to you. You could put yourself in a situation where you got the fire on you, you get into a fight or a tussle, and now motherfuckers see your shit and they go reach for that shit. Now you gotta fight to motherfucking get a motherfucker from disarming you. So don't put yourself in a situation where your concealed weapon can become exposed. You gotta be thinking of all this. That's why when some people say some shit, I just be like, man, y'all clearly be telling on y'all self, bro. Don't put your hands on nobody. Keep your hands to yourself. To me, that was the lesson learned. You may get caught a different lesson from that shit, Karmelo Anthony shit, but that's the lesson that I would teach a child. Keep your hands to yourself, and like Money Bandu said, mind your business. That's something that other people need to realize nowadays. People will go get into some shit that ain't got shit to do with shit, or ain't really own nothing, and then they gonna fuck around. Like just certain shit just, and I be pleading with people, certain shit just ain't worth it, bro. Especially today. It's just not worth it. Mind your business and keep your hands to yourself. And that's it. Take it as you may. I'm out.